liberal. Make sure I got all my devices on Wi-Fi and not something else because we don't want to lose communication during the program. Okay, so everything's on Wi-Fi. All right, we got a few topics to discuss today. As usual, you know how the program is ran. There's a few things in the news, and under the Trump administration, there's always things in the news. Now, we're going to talk about first of all the military parade that was this weekend. Flat out, I guess the main question I would ask you folks in regards to the military parade that Trump had. Do you think it was worth it? What do you think? 40, I don't know, what, 40 some odd million bucks to host this parade? Do you think the trying to sound like Trump, the big beautiful parade? Do you think it was actually worth the cost? Because it wasn't cheap. It does appear as if no streets were damaged during this parade. So, because that was one of the big concerns of tanks and all of this equipment was going to tear up the streets in D.C. It appears as if that did not happen, so that's a good thing. But what do you think the parade was worth it in regards to the cost and what the meaning of it was? In the comments, Hunter CCM says it's not worth celebrating 250 years of the Army. If I'm correct, that's next year. I would say look it up, but if I'm correct, the actual turning of that is next year because many were suggesting that the parade should be next year. So I think the 250 thing is next year. Because think about it, 1776. So that means 250 years. That last digit should be a 6, not 2025. So if you want to talk about 250 years of the military, it should be 2026. That's 250 years. So you're not even getting that, Hunter. It's the 249th year of the military. So that's not even the case of what happened. Some might suggest that it's due to the fact that this time next year we'll be really talking about the midterms, and holding this same parade next year might have not been as advantageous to Trump to hold it next year. But this time next year we'll be don't forget all about this parade. But if he held it in June of 2026, only a few months before the election, it might be big on people's mind because this time next year, we're talking only 5 months before the midterm. So somebody said MAGA can't do math. Jojo, tell him something, Joe. Good afternoon to you, by the way. Okay, so that was funny. So we're talking about, do you believe Trump's parade was worth it? Do you believe it was worth it? Before we go into the second and third topic, which we do have, I'll respond in kind to that statement once again in regards to, is it worth it to have a 250th anniversary or whatever of the military? I can see the validity in that. I guess the problem is when you're cutting so much via Elon Musk, why are you celebrating the military? I mean, I'm just going to say that while I am a big, I'm a big supporter of the U.S. military. If you're telling us we're going so broke, we got to cut American jobs in the federal government and any help we're doing for anybody overseas, that we're talking life-saving measures. Cutting USAID has caused the deaths of people. If you're going to say that we're hurting so bad, we need to do that. This ain't the time to celebrate the military. That's just my humble opinion. I'm 100% behind celebrating the military, but putting the celebration of the military over actual human lives, that just doesn't sit well with me. That doesn't sit well with me. I understand it sits well with a lot of you folks, particularly my beloved MAGA. You're okay with it, but cutting USAID has cost people their lives. I mean, we were providing a lot of medical treatments and prescription drugs and things like that to people overseas that were keeping them alive. We're helping children out that are going through everything from cleft lip to actual dangerous illnesses. We cut all of that out, but it's okay to just have some tanks go down the street and watch it. I mean, you realize how far $40 some odd million goes in some of those third world countries that we were helping out. You realize how much we could do, how many lives could be saved with that. So the parade doesn't sit well with me from that standpoint. But we'll talk about that and asking, is it worth it in your opinion? Maybe you see something that I do not. Also, we're talking about the blame game. That's what the whole live is titled, the blame game. Now, all of you folks are aware that we had an assassin traveling the streets of Minneapolis, taking the lives of politicians. Now, apparently, even though two people were shot and shot a lot, I mean, obviously, Melissa Hortman, the representative who lost her life, and so did her husband. The two people that lived, the senator he shot that actually lived, the male senator and his wife, between those two, they got hit 17 times. I believe the husband was hit 9 times and the wife was hit 8, or vice versa. One got hit 8, one got hit 9 times. And they both survived that. In the tradition of Tupac and 50 Cent getting shot a bunch of times and surviving, but wow, he really was trying to take their lives. But they actually survived after being shot that many damn times. I don't know where he was hitting them at. Was he just shooting them all in the leg? Damn, that's a lot of times to get hit. But here's something that is more shocking that came out of what took place.
Of June 14th, Belter went to the homes of 4 Minnesota state politicians with the intent to kill them. Belter first traveled to the home of Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman in Champlin, Minnesota. After shooting Senator Hoffman and his wife, Belter traveled to the home of another Minnesota state representative in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Video surveillance showed that Belter rang the doorbell at the state representative's house at approximately 2:24 a.m. Now, fortunately, the state representative was not home. She and her family were gone on vacation, and so Belter left. Belter then traveled to the home of a Minnesota state senator who lived in New Hope, Minnesota. After learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman, New Hope police dispatched an officer to conduct a wellness check on the state senator who lived in New Hope. The New Hope police officer believed that Belter was a police officer who had been dispatched to the scene to check on the status of the state senator. The New Hope police officer pulled up next to Belter in his car, rolled down her window, and attempted to speak with him. Belter did not respond. According to the officer, he just sat there and stared straight ahead. So the New Hope police officer, who had been dispatched to the scene, proceeded to the state senator's home, and she waited for other law enforcement to arrive.
Did she report that? Okay, you pulled up doing a wellness check while you are aware that another politician in the area has been assassinated. You pull up to the home, there's another cop sitting there with the lights on, and you try to make contact to that cop. You roll your window down, that cop doesn't say a damn thing to you and continue staring forward. How odd is that? So you just drive to the person's home and leave that damn cop there? Talk about some odd shit. How odd is that? So I don't know what to say about that one, but just some weird shit there. Looking in the comments here, let me make sure I clear somebody out that is playing the game of typing over and over again. But the issue we're talking about here is it's pretty clear that this individual wanted to take a lot of lives that day. And even though he only shot 4 people, which I guess you don't really want to say only to that, but it appears that he was trying to, he went to the home of a couple other politicians. You heard the man just say, unfortunately, one of them was on vacation, wasn't there. Can you imagine being that person to check your Ring doorbell or whatever you got your hands on your own surveillance and you notice he also came to my house? This is literally like Jason or Freddy Krueger showing up to your house, wearing that mask and all of that. He was obviously there to kill you. You just happened to be lucky you were on vacation. This guy obviously came to take the life. Now, what I'm going to ask when we titled this the blame game, I want to ask you folks, because the liberals rushed to refer to this guy as MAGA. The liberals rush to say that it's Trump's rhetoric that has caused this type of political violence. Is it wrong to start blaming other folks that are part of a party as opposed to putting evil at the foot of the person that committed the evil? I mean, is it wrong to play the blame game and blame a whole party when this guy himself is the one that's going around doing all the killing? Now, before you answer that question, I see some have already chosen to do that. Keep in mind, President Trump himself sustained 2 attempts on his life, and he immediately blamed the liberals for it. He immediately did that. So which one is correct? Whereas you place evil at the foot of the person committing the evil, or is Trump correct and you blame the other side when something happens? Because Trump immediately blamed his assassin on the Liberal Party. So do want to ask that question. Last but not least, before we start taking callers and going to the box, President Trump did something today that is placing us at odds with a lot of our allies, so to speak. And I want to find out from you guys, why do you think he would do something like this?
Is in Canada, attending the G7 summit and meeting with world leaders. The escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, along with Russia's war with Ukraine, certainly expected to be top agenda items. Now, the president today advocating for Russia's return to the G7.
The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But
Why does Trump want to add Russia back to the G8? Now, Russia's at war with the Ukrainians. I think all of NATO thinks Russia is wrong. Why would he want to add Russia back to the G8? So we're going to talk about that. That's what we're going to discuss today. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We are MAGA friendly. Been that way since day one. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, you are in the right place. Feel free to follow the program if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on TikTok, and certainly give your boy a subscription if you're watching on YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical. In the comments, why would Trump want to bring Russia back into the G7, make it the G8 again? In the comments, Jojo said because that's his daddy. Say that Putin's his daddy. Forever C10, thanks for the super chat. Tim, don't want to be petty. Check your Wi-Fi stream is bad. Okay, wait a minute. Let me make sure my Wi-Fi is on. I don't know why it's doing that. Are you guys having issues with Wi-Fi or on with my Wi-Fi? Is it coming in blocked up? It looks like everybody's hearing me. Okay, stream is fine on someone that said the stream is fine on TikTok. Let me know on YouTube. Let's talk about why they tried. It's very grainy. I don't know what's causing that. Let me see if I can. I'll switch this device. Maybe it's this specific device. I don't know. Give me a moment to switch this one over if that is what's happening. Why that's happening? Anyway, we'll go to the box. Your stream is good. Move on. Well, Duvall, I'm talking to folks who are watching on YouTube. You're on TikTok. So for some reason, on some of a little static on YouTube. Okay, so YouTube horizontal. All right. Everybody said it's better. Okay, so we'll go straight to the first caller. Blame game. Is it wrong to blame others, such as in this case, folks are blaming Trump for what happened in Minnesota? Is that wrong to do that? To blame a party for what a radical does in regards to, assassination, taking lives, hate crimes in this case, or whatever you want to call it. But Latino, I think that says good evening.
Well, the way I see it, now everything is coming out basically how it looks like. It basically looks like he's, been working with Putin this whole time. If you actually look at some things that he said, like the last time where he said that, Putin should get a good portion of, whatever is going on of that land and get his land back and yada, yada, yada. And then now he's saying that he's going to be in the G7. I mean, he's been working all the time.
What would be the what would be the goal of Trump working with Putin?
Well, the first one was basically getting his hotel deal in Russia. It was the first one that he was actually way back when, where he was trying to get a hotel deal with them back then, but it wasn't able to go through because of the simple fact that he was actually elected as president. So he couldn't very well much say, hey, look, I got this deal in Russia, and, he's working the same token.
Wait, you believe that Trump is focusing on his own interest on behalf of, you believe he's putting his own best interest over the nation?
Most definitely. I mean, if you actually look at what he said before he actually got elected, he said that he was wanting to put a hotel in Gaza, and so if you actually see the whole thing, I mean, if you actually think about it, I mean, it's a lot. It's a whole monopoly game that he's playing. He was good as a kid, so he's doing a monopoly, but also with his family too. His family's pulling the strings on the side too with his hotels and all that stuff. Outside of interest.
Yeah, Latino, I don't get it. This man is almost 80 years of age. He has plenty of money. Alleged that he's not even taking a salary. Why would he need a hotel in Russia at this point?
Well, I mean, it's for his family. It's called wealth. It's like they're building their wealth for them and their people and so forth and so on. Because when you're building wealth, you're actually doing it for families and generations of your family. Because that's what wealth is. You're actually building the wealth for your family and generations of your family to come.
Yeah. So this is all about generational wealth for his own family, as opposed to who really should be in the G7 and G8, or G8 if he's trying to make it back to the G8.
Of course. I mean, see, with Trump being in office, Putin actually benefits from everything due to the fact that basically whatever interest Putin has, maybe he has interest in the United States. And I mean, we've seen it done,
Yeah.
And I mean,
that's a pretty strong accusation. Before you continue, Carnage Symbiote says Dumbo Trump ain't shit. He says Trump cannot accept responsibility for his own mistakes, so he blames everything on everybody else. It's bullshit. I wish, I've never heard your perspective on this, Latino. He's saying, Carnage Symbiote, I pronounce the last name there, Symbiote, is saying that Trump blames everything else on everybody else. I do believe some of that, but trying to bring a nation back into the G8 because it's profitable to your family?
Yeah, because if you look at, remember the past remarks that he said, oh yeah, Russia's good for us. We would love to be actually partners with the Russian people, or Russia in itself, mind you. That actually benefits whatever he does. And because, see, the problem is that Trump could not get any more loans in the United States. So he had to go outwards and outsource his loans to actually get loans from foreign countries, because he keep on messing up here in the United States. Because remember, mind you, he had lost multiple businesses, multiple loans,
but all of that,
just done bankrupting.
But all of that's before President Trump is incredibly wealthy at this point. He don't need a hotel. He has generational wealth for certain, whether it's his cryptocurrency or a host of other things he has going on. He don't need a business in Russia at this point.
Well, remember, mind you, he has to pay all these debts that he has to do because he keeps on getting money these corporate billionaires and, you know, the elite people. If you look at it, though, you know, like remember when he was at his Mar-a-Lago before he got elected, he was saying, "Oh, there's a people with a lot of money, and so you're gonna get money, and you're gonna get money."
I hear what you're saying, but this guy doesn't. He doesn't. And I see in the comments, successful MD says the Orange Man had a $40 to $50 million birthday party. He's talking about the military, but I hear what you're saying, but I just don't. I don't see that being. I mean, it could be, but a hotel in Russia. You believe that is the sole reason, or the main reason, or the primary reason behind trying to get Russia back in the G7?
No, I believe.
Give me something else. Give me something else.
That was just to start it off. I mean,
what other reason?
I mean, for example, you know, they you know, basically being elected, you know, if and or, you know, Russia actually got him elected, you know, like Russia got some dirt on him, and so he has to continue on with the facade. Because if he don't, then you know what? I mean, he's gonna be unalived by Putin. You know, because he can't get unalived because he is not.
Whoa! You said he. You think, wait a minute. You said he's going to be unalived by Putin? You're telling me Vladimir Putin try to take out a head of state in America?
I'm saying because, like, okay, when you are working with the Russian mob or any type of mob, mind you, you know, if you don't comply with the mob, they will come after you, and you have to do what they say. If not, you know, you will be unalived.
But you don't think that you don't think that there's any mob thing. But you don't think that there's any way possible ever that the Russian mob could get access to a United States president, do you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I mean,
you think if Trump you think if Trump pissed off the Russian mob, they have avenues to get to him?
If you piss off Putin, I mean, you know, if you piss off Putin to that point, you know, I'm pretty sure there are multiple ways that he can actually get to him. You know, well, especially if he's not president. You know, if he's not president,
that is
you know? It doesn't have to necessarily be.
That's an act of war. I mean, that's a serious act of war.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, but see, that's the thing is he put himself in that position. Who put himself in that type of position? You know, this is where this is has been his whole life working with the mob. Yeah. All the mob he's been working with, different mobs. You know, that's it, and it's his own fault. It's of his own doing.
I'm not arguing any of that, but the Russian mob being able to get access to a United States president, I'm going to say, in my opinion, that sounds a bit far-fetched. I don't think the Russian mob, I don't, put it this way, even if they could, like even in America, the mafia has certain people that they would not deal with because dealing with brings too much drama. Like, for instance, the mafia don't like taking out police officers, for instance. You take out a U.S. president, you're going to bring down the weight of the United States on Russia. I don't think they would want to take out a U.S. president.
I mean, if you look at JFK was unalived, you know, so that's not impossible to get to a president, you know?
Yeah, but I think there was a different era. I think at this day and age, everybody knows on the world stage that the United States is significantly more powerful militarily than Russia. I mean, certainly after a 3-year battle with the Ukraine, it's pretty obvious that if Russia currently right now, if Russia and the United States went back and forth, the only thing that could possibly make Russia competitive is that they have nuclear weapons. But on a conventional standpoint, it's not even close. I just can't imagine wanting to take out a head of state country knowing what they would bring down upon them. I'll give you the last word. I got to move it on, but take it, huh? Do you think Trump is a con man? That's what it sounds like.
Of course. 100%. 100%. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you actually look at everything, look at his whole track record, yeah, of course.
All right, fair enough. You got some kind of alarm going. I gotta move it on. You got something really squilling in the background, but I appreciate you coming through, man. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. I do want to respond to a super chat. Carnage Symbiote says Donald Trump ain't shit. Says he's behind the assassination. Whoa! Really? Saying Trump is behind the assassination. Oh, come on now. He probably paid somebody, got his stuff from Halloween store, and his way of getting his revenge on the Democratic Party. Oh, come on. Come on. So he's saying, he's not just saying Trump's rhetoric led to what happened in Minnesota. He is saying that he's actually behind it. Wow. He's behind the assassination. He probably paid somebody, got his stuff from Halloween store. The guy was wearing a mask, and of course he had a law enforcement outfit on. He says got it from the Halloween store. This is his way of getting revenge on the Democratic Party. Yikes! That sounds like Nixon times 1,000. I'm not. Somebody else says Timo in the comments. I'm not Latino Lives Matter. I'm not going to say I believe Trump is that far behind it, but we are asking about playing the blame game. Is it wrong for folks to blame Trump, the rhetoric coming from Trump and MAGA for what happened in Minnesota? Is that wrong to do? Anyone who still supports Trump is a broken toy. Damn. We're all about beloved MAGA. This is a hostile audience towards Trump, huh? They know he loves money. Elon bought him too. Successful MD. Now, Successful MD in the comments, thank you for the super chat, is continuing on what my last caller said, is that these world leaders know that Trump can be purchased. And he's saying that Russia knows that Trump can be bought. And he follows up by saying Elon Musk Trump too. I don't know what's going on in Russia to the point where I would go that far, but I do agree 100% that Elon purchased his way in. I don't think it's even up for debate that Elon Musk threw enough money around that they named a 4-letter organization for him to control. Elon certainly bought his way in. I do believe that, but I don't know about Russia. Anyway, looking in the comments, did Elon go to the parade? Probably not. It doesn't look like a lot of people were there. We're asking that question, by the way, before I go to the next caller. Was that parade, was it worth it? Was that, what does they say, 40 some odd million bucks for that parade? Was it worth it? Something's going on in the background here. Stop that. Was that parade worth it in your opinion? 40 to 45 million, I think they said, all to watch tanks driving on the street. And the attendance, Trump, largest inauguration crowd in history and all of that talk, the attendance for this does not look like it was that great. The attendance for that parade in D.C., I'd say any middle-class American city that hosted a No King's Day parade probably had bigger attendance. Now, some of those had tens of thousands of people. So those No King's Day protests had a lot more people attend. Folks say to honor the military. Looking in the comments, Tim, do you have a Trump phone? No, I don't have. What is a Trump phone? Somebody else mentioned that. What the hell is a Trump phone? Going to the box, stick, the ruler. Good evening. I think the riots in Los Angeles, people scared to attend. Scared to attend what? Scared to attend a military parade in D.C.? That doesn't make any sense. Stick, good evening.
Hey, how you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. So you think the parade was worth it?
You know it wasn't worth it, Tim. You know I'm going to tell you that. That, like you just said, that money could have went towards something more positive, more, worthy of supposedly his name. If you're going to do something right. I guess they still waiting on the $5,000 check that he found with waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I don't know what happened to the $5,000 check Elon's going to give up because Elon's not even part of the government anymore. But, yeah, I'm kind of in that camp that I think the money spent on that parade.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Time out. So you mean to tell me Elon was giving the money?
No, I was under the impression, this is me, this is where I might be completely wrong, but I was under the impression that Elon had indicated that, all the waste, fraud, and abuse they were finding, that they may look into somehow giving people a President Trump, though. Not Congress, and but hold on. I said President Trump, not Congress, because Congress ain't really doing anything right now. But go ahead.
And you're right about that. They're really not doing anything. They're especially not doing their job. We had somebody with the right ideology, and what I mean by that, I don't mean right and righteous or anything like that. But what I am saying is this: he has put everything in their head to be a democratic problem or fault, and now we have. Well, we've been had that because Nancy Pelosi's husband, certain things have happened because of this.
Is it wrong to blame Trump for those type of hit jobs?
Yes, ma'am.
No, it wouldn't be wrong. Just like it's not wrong for saying he's the cause for January 6th. I mean, he just needs to put his big man britches on. Seems like he's got tough skin, and he can take anything. So he might as well just do what some other people did, would just come out and say after he won, this is what we intend on doing.
Wow.
And yes, I am the cause for it. What you gonna do about it? I mean, he can't be convicted of anything, right? He's a sitting president.
Is that? But that's not totally true. I know he supposedly has immunity when he's acting in concert with the job, but he doesn't have total immunity. He's not in a situation where he can't be convicted of anything, is he?
Well, it seems like to me he has total immunity. He's able to, go against people's rights as being we the people. It don't matter whether you're black, white, gay, Mexican. He's coming at you. Trans, it don't matter. He's coming at you. He's trying to get your rights any way he can, especially the women.
Well, so, what folks are going to wonder, some of my MAGA viewers, the firthing they're going to ask, what kind of rights are Trump taking away? A lot of folks are suggesting the liberals are just fear-mongering. What rights are people losing under Trump?
Okay, how about this one? I'm going to give you something really recent.
Sure.
When you get on there and you say, when they spit, we hit, right?
He did say that.
That's not, no. And then on top of that,
but you're not losing, right? Wait, stick. That's not a loss of rights.
Let me get to what I mean by that. Then you have these other state representatives / sheriff and all of that saying, if you come out and you protest, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. So at the end of the day, you've lost your First Amendment right, freedom of speech.
No, I gotta push back. The sheriff
allowed to assemble.
Okay, wait a minute. The sheriff talked tough, but he didn't say you couldn't protest. He started talking about if you're blocking cars, you'll get ran over, and if you throw a brick at a cop, they're going to shoot you graveyard dead and all that.
Is that legal? Is that legal?
My guess is probably yeah. I don't like it.
It's not legal. It's not legal for you to get pew and or shot by police just because you didn't move out the road. That's not legal.
Well, he didn't say that. He said if you are in front of a car, you may get dragged down the street.
Okay. Is that legal?
Is it legal to block the flow of traffic with your body?
I'm saying, is it legal for a person to run over another person because they're lying in the middle of the road? If you don't know the context could be that person, even though it's a rally going on, they might have some medical going on. So you just run that medical person on over, huh? That person that's having a medical issue.
I get what you're trying to say, but you know what he's saying as well. He's not talking about running over somebody having a medical episode, just laying pushing on your hood while you're coming down the street. I think you know what he's talking about.
Well, that's a difference. But guess what? You can't push on the hood that you ain't touching unless that hood runs up on you, and now you got to protect yourself from that hood.
Okay.
Because guess what I seen? I seen the police, the ICE agents. I'm sorry, it wasn't the police. I seen the ICE agents, right? They had the people, I guess, in the little van or whatever with the ram grill on the front.
Okay.
And they wasn't trying to serve and protect the actual citizens. because the citizens were the one actually out there protesting, correct?
Yeah, but I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing where you're losing rights at. You said under Trump, people are losing.
In the law, then you need to have your escort come and arrest me, and then we can move forward, but not run me over.
Are you sure we're not
China, watching the tank run the Chinese person over that stood in front of the tank? Is that what we doing now?
Yeah, but are you sure we're not blaming what might be bad policing on President Trump? Trump is not telling these folks to do this. They're doing it on their own.
Listen, when you get up there and you say what you say as being Trump, you have the police that's looking around, and then he sees an Australian journalist with her back to him, and he busts on the leg with a doggone rubber bullet. That's because of Trump. That's the rhetoric. You can do that and don't worry about it. I got you. That's Trump.
Well, there's no confirmation of that. I mean, I saw what you're talking about, but there's no confirmation.
So you seen the part where he said, remember when he was running, he said he wished he could get the police could get him in the room. All they need is 30 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is your president, homie.
This is
like,
let's
be real about this.
This is our president. Our president. This is our president. I didn't vote for him either.
I didn't vote for him.
I didn't vote for him either.
So at the end of the day, he's just like an asterisk in my presidency book. He's an asterisk. He don't get no respect. He's soft as hell. He didn't serve. I did. Shit, make me president.
So you're putting him down there with Rodney Dangerfield. He gets no respect at all.
No, he don't need no respect. Rodney Dangerfield deserves way more respect. He put more smiles on people's faces than anybody in here. Yeah, he deserves way more respect. But God doggone Trump, every time you turn around, man, he's a walking, talking plague. That's all he is. Whether he plaguing on other countries, plaguing on his own country, I mean, he's a plague, bro. Like, name a business that he's had more than maybe 20 years other than his own name.
I mean, I don't know how long he's had his businesses, but he's made a lot of money.
No. I'm gonna say it again. So okay, you got Nike, right?
Okay.
Now that may not be somebody's last name, but it's a well-known business, right?
Right.
So let's just say Nike is a family, right?
Okay.
Their business is shoes. Their business now is shirts and apparel. You know, Nike makes bats. Nike is a good name. Trump is a good name only because he's popular in the sense of people know who he is, because everything is Trump this and Trump that and Trump. He can sell his name, but he can't sell beef. He can't teach anybody at a university. His university is not around.
What about his golf courses? What about his golf courses?
Okay, the golf courses, I mean, he came up on a good piece of land. He made one good decision.
What about his hotels?
Well, you can't speak on the hotel in New York because that's no longer Trump Tower. So
he has some good businesses. All his businesses weren't bad. Man, I think if Trump hadn't ran for president, he would have a lot of good businesses still.
I'm gonna say it again, Tim. Those right there are more things that he can keep and hold and get loans on. Right? That's wealth. I'll give it to him. But when I'm asking you about businesses, for instance, how do you bankrupt a casino? That's free money. That's free money.
How you know he didn't bankrupt it on purpose to make a ton of money out of it?
Again, give me a business that's more than 10 years. You can't. Most of his business, other than his hotel, and he lost the one in Vegas as well too.
But what if the goal wasn't to stay in business long term? What if the goal was to flip businesses? Just, grow a business, make it successful, and sell it. Just like flipping properties. He may not wanted to own one business for 20 years.
So you mean to tell me if your business basically prints the money, because you own a casino, people come to your casino, you don't charge them to come in, you don't charge them to spend their money, they just automatically just give it to you. You might have on an average day 5 to 10 winners at best. And I ain't talking about 100 here and 200 there. I'm talking about $100,000 or $200,000 at best. But you raking in one day $2 to $5 million, depending on the area.
I'm under the impression, but Stick, I'm under the impression that even though the casino went bankrupt, Trump made money off of that. He didn't lose money in that deal himself.
I don't know how that could be if it's bankrupt. So it is what it is. They play the I don't pay taxes game and all that stuff. So you could be right, Tim. You know, because he don't pay taxes. He don't do stuff that he's actually supposed to do. So he plays the game the way he plays the game. But at the end of the day, that still doesn't make him the person that MAGA tries to make him to be, which is a good businessman. Because I'm not going to go into business just to later on say, well, I lost it all, but I made money off of it. Well, what about all the other people that work for you? Where do they stand?
I got to say, if your wealth is steadily increasing, you're a good businessman. Whatever you're doing, if your bank account is continuing to grow like Trump's was, you're a good businessman. So I got to disagree with you on that, but I got to move it on, Stick. We'll see what happens, but I do got to move. Go ahead, I'll give you the last word.
Okay, yeah. One last thing, Tim. So when it comes down to the military, they've got all of these memes of showing, China and North Korea and all of these other ones, even Russia, how in tune and in step they are. Mm-hmm. I want you to understand that if there was any African American soul brothers out there, ain't no way in hell they was off step.
Yeah, that looks bad.
To be all step.
I saw that. That looks bad.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the any other race that was out there, they not off step because they got somebody that keeps them in step. They did that shit on purpose. That was a disrespect to Trump. He needs to see that and understand we don't want a king. We don't need a king. It never will. So he need to get. You know what needs to happen to him? Controversial. I'm gonna be controversial. He needs a Caesar to happen to his ass. He needs somebody to say, Ted Brutes, yeah, all in his back. That's what he needs. He needs to be Caesared.
All right, Stick. That sounds a bit like 8647. I got to move it on, but thanks for coming through.
I hope it's small hands, Marco Rubio, right in the back.
God. All right, Stick. Damn. All right, now, we don't want to call for any violence, if you know what I mean, but damn. Caesared all in the back, huh? Looking in the comments, Trump filed bankruptcy and didn't pay taxes for 20 years. Isn't that kind of what the tax, Letitia James, what's her name? Was that Letitia James in New York that went out to him and won a ton of money? Yeah, that was her name. Anyway, looking in the comments, I think letting people know we're not going up with this crap, including protecting ourselves by whatever means necessary. The American people are fed up. American people are always fed up. What are they fed up with this time? I'd like to know that, though. If you don't think Trump is a good president, you're crazy. And even if you are right, Harris and Tampon Tim would have been the end of the country. I'd like to know what would Harris and quote-unquote Tampon Tim had have done to be the end of the country. Look, I'm not here to say Kamala Harris would have been a bad president or would have been a good president, but I actually do believe that under Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, we would have been less divided than we are right now. Because Kamala Harris would not have been on TV attacking people so much. So when you say the end of the country, I'll be curious to know what would they have done to lead to the end of the country? Let me know what you think, because if you look at the metrics under Trump, if I can get the word out, the metrics under Trump, it's not like you look at Biden, he's way down here, and you look at Trump and things are way up here. The economy hasn't improved significantly from Biden to Trump. Obviously, none of the wars have ended. In fact, Iran and Israel is a new one that started. So if you're saying that Kamala and Biden or Kamala and Tim Walz would have destroyed the country, give me how they would have done it. In what way? What way, shape, or form? 13 bankruptcies out of 500 companies, insanely good, says Polak Talks. I love the name, by the way, Polak Talks. I kind of agree with that, though. You got 500 companies and 13 bankruptcies. Yeah, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, if your bank account is growing, I don't give a damn about the bankruptcies, failed companies, or whatever. If your bank account is continuing to grow, you're a good businessman. Listen, it's a shell game. Corporations don't often give a damn about the employees. So if they're laying you or me off, but they're getting a bonus, they're getting all kind of awards and golden parachutes, it's good business. It's not about how well the employees or the business does. It's about how well the businessman does. And Trump has continued seeing his wealth climb. So under the standards of American capitalism, I don't see how he's not a good businessman. Okay, the casino went bankrupt, but what happened to his pay that year? His company that sold steaks went bankrupt or belly up. But what was his bank account doing that year? As long as he's still making money, I don't see it. Looking in the comments, Bernie Madoff was Bernie Madoff was committing crimes. Big difference. Bernie Madoff was telling. I get where you're trying to tie it to, but I don't put Trump in the category with Bernie Madoff. I mean, Bernie Madoff was running a Ponzi scheme. Trump wasn't doing that. Trump would have been more like a bad sales guy. Selling you vacuum cleaners, telling you that the capabilities of the vacuum cleaner or whatever product he was selling you was significantly better than it actually is. Whereas Bernie Madoff was just taking money from person A, giving a percentage of it to person B, and needing person C to keep the whole thing going. It wasn't based on anything else other than how many more suckers can I get to keep it going. So I don't think Trump and Bernie Madoff are in the same category with that. Pollock Talks, thank you for the support, said they would have brought in. Here's how Kamala Harris, he's going to suggest, how Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim as he called it, would have destroyed the country. He says they would have brought in so many illegals that they would have permanently changed the country's demographics and kept Democrats in office forever. There's a possibility of that. I can't rule it out, but I didn't hear them talking about they wanted to give a bunch of illegal immigrants voting rights. But your statement is not lost because Biden did let a whole lot of people in the country under the asylum claim. The folks coming in this country under Biden seeking asylum really ballooned. And Pollock Talks, even though many people on the right consider folks seeking asylum as illegal immigrants. They're not. But you're letting them in. They're not vetted. They probably don't have a legitimate claim to seek asylum, but under Biden, they're more likely to stay. And he is right in suggesting eventually they're going to get the right to vote. So I don't agree quite with the wording of it, but I do agree with the premise is that under the Democratic Party, you were going to have far more people coming in across the southern border that would eventually turn into voters. That could be a generation or so down the line, but eventually those people would turn into voters, not to mention their offspring and their family tree. That's what he's saying. I don't totally disagree with that. I don't totally disagree with it. But if the goal was to get them kind of people out only, I think Trump would not be taking as much flag, but Trump is going at the people that are here illegally and every damn thing. Let me go back to the box. A lot of immigrants vote red. Yeah, Cubans, Venezuelans, but the vast majority of people coming across the southern border don't vote red. They don't vote red. Most of the folks coming across the southern border do vote blue. Going back to the box, Gangsta Grandma, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Stop about them voting red and stuff.
What?
Voting blue. They don't vote. Stop with the BS.
No, wait a minute. That ain't what you didn't hear what he said. He's saying that immigrants, once they become legalized, they tend to vote. Is that not true?
No, it's mostly other idiots who voting against their own damn interest. You know what I mean?
I don't agree with that. I think most immigrants that come across...
Venezuelans and the Cubans think they white, so they will vote for that dipshit up there that's in office right now. So shut your ass up. You're not even educated even talking about
Hold
this.
on.
As it is today anyway.
You didn't hear what I said. First of all, I said across the southern border. Cubans don't come across...
Yeah, you don't think Cubans can't go across the border? You don't think they can?
Why would they?
That's how they get here.
No, they don't. They come on a raft into
Yes,
Florida.
they do. A lot of them do come across the southern border. Yes, they do.
Okay.
The Haitians does too. All of the asses sometimes come to the southern border. Now, they might fly their asses in on the e-visa and stuff and then overstay, yeah. But yeah, a lot of them do cross the southern border and would.
Okay, well, let me
And they still vote against their own damn fucking interests and would.
I'll push back by saying out of all of the different...
You always be pushing back. You're fluffing. You got his...
We gotta... Wait, hold on, we gotta have a conversation. You can be critical. I don't mind. We gotta have a conversation. I'm simply saying...
Why you don't push back on the truth, though? What kind of truth?
You're not letting me get a word in. You're just... What I'm saying is... The overwhelming majority of folks that come in this country across the southern border, when they are legalized, they vote blue. You're telling me that's not true?
It's not. And you got sources? You got sources? But do you Fluffy?
Yeah.
With his protein all over your lips? No, you do not. You do not because you do not have no sources. Because actually, the ones that really would vote for the blue is the Mexicans. They will vote blue.
Okay.
Because it showed anything that 65% to 67% will vote blue.
Okay,
yes,
let's go with what you just said, the Mexicans. What group represents...
The Mexicans that's coming through the border, Pookie.
What?
Ray?
What?
It's the Cubans. It's the Venezuelans. What the fuck else? Don't
What?
just blame it on my poor little Mexicans.
What group represents the largest amount of immigrants in this country from the southern border?
Hell, all of them do.
Now you're playing. You know who the hell it is. What from which country?
Don't you cuss at me, Pookie. I'm on the good side of history. Your ass is always fluffing on the bad side.
I'm just trying to get you to answer the question. From which country from the southern border do most immigrants come?
I mean, it's really, honest to God, it's really mixed, though.
No, it's not.
Really mixed. Because you know what, on some real shit, not all the Mexicans want to come here.
Have you seen what's going on in California?
No shit, Sherlock. I'm in the middle of the shit and wood.
How many Venezuelan or Guatemalan or Nicaraguan flags? You seeing Mexican flags? That's what's being flown.
Okay.
Mexican flags.
There's all other kinds of fucking flags. See, your fat ass needs to go down there, Pookie and Ray, and look at all the damn flags. Honduras flag is flying. The Venezuelan flags are flying. The Cubano flags are flying. The United States flag is flying. And wood. And the Mexicans are flying. And wood.
You don't want to admit the largest
I'm
group...
not... I am admit I'm saying.
No, you're not.
All of them are coming through. All of them.
I asked you a clear question. Which group represents the largest amount of immigrants coming across the southern border? Your response was all of them. You won't answer the actual question.
All of them do.
No, it's not.
I don't know the precise. I can't give you the figures. But all of them be coming through. Shit, well, what the fuck, man? I'm not lying. All of them are coming through. Look, the shit, there's Cubans, Venezuelans, all Haitians are even coming through. Even Chinese people coming through the damn Mexican border. It's not just Mexicans. You slow little imbecile of a cockroach. You bent over backwards and everything for the white T-Man. And look what the white T-Man just did this weekend. Yeah, let's go there. You little maggot-ass friends did all this shit in Minnesota and shit. And then you always say, my beloved maggot. Yeah, I tell you, they're fucking full of hate. Okay. Little monster asses.
I'm going to...
We need to send their asses to Venezuela.
Okay, I'm going to say this again. Out of the immigrants that come across the southern border... I'm saying
this again because you ain't strong enough to go against me. I'm saying this again. Well, like what? Why don't you have this damn energy with the maggots?
And I see in the comments...
Do you come hard? You try to come so hard with me. You try your damnedest come so hard with me. But yet, you get soft asses like your dang-a-lang go soft. Yes. Well, let me push back a little bit to the maggots. But you want to come straight hard with me. Well, you try to at least.
You're telling me I come hard with you. Do you realize how you're coming with me right now? Do you realize that?
I come hard with you. Girly pop. Let's go, girly pop.
I don't get any MAGA folks on the show that talk to me the way you do, but yet you're telling me I come hard with you.
Because they're softies. wish a bitch would come hard for me. I bet you won't let me on with the little maggot comes on, because you know I'll have them to hell and back, and I'll cut that little dangling off and shove up their own ass, girly pop. You know I will. I will shove them in the back to where the fuck they came from, the pits of hell. But see, you are too soft. That's why they soft with you, because you let them spear the little all their little stuff. You do. You let them spear all the hate and stuff. You don't push back. 2 of them are in the triple K. You don't push it back. You don't. You don't.
Wait. Who the hell are you suggesting that's in the triple K?
Gen X. He's a proud boy. Yup. To the left bit. Yup. And then you go little maggot. What's his name? I forget his name. The little mega wannabe little white boy. What's his name?
I don't know.
I don't know. Mega intelligent some shit. And then you have your $15 hour wash boy. I voted for Trump because he's going to give us more money because the illegal immigrants, they're taking our jobs, and I'm just making $15 an hour. Boy, please.
What is wrong with voting for Trump if you believe immigrants are taking jobs? Is that not a legitimate reason to vote for Trump?
Show me where they're taking jobs. Because no white team man is going to be out in the fucking fields. No white team man is going to be, I promise you, ain't going to be in the construction site, because a lot of them are Mexicans. I passed one today, Mexicans.
I want you
Nobody's taking their jobs.
I want to get your opinion on this comment. This is a comment aimed at you in the comment section. North Carolina cowgirl says she wouldn't make it 10 minutes in the South.
Bitch, I'm from the South. What you talking about? I'm from 9th Ward, bitch, and what? I'm from the straight hood, and what? Shit, MAGA reacts, that's it. He's trouble. She won't make it in. It's like, get the fuck out. And I can tell that was a white woman too. Get the fuck out of here. No, I'm not white. They really think that I won't make No.
Well,
He's so funny.
They're saying if you ever went down to the South, that might be your demise. Pollock Talk says she.
God, I'm so shaken with a white man telling me that. I'm so shaken. Get the fuck. I'm grown up in the hood. Okay. You know what? I'm from the hood. They don't scare me. See, this is what these motherfuckers think. Because they white tea, they're gonna scare us. We're going to do something. We're mega. We're going to do this. Get the fuck out of here.
And Pollock Talk says you proved this point with the more flags. So you're saying that in California, there are all sorts of flags being flown.
They are all kinds of flags. What are you talking about? They're ripping everything. No, I'm not white. When did Afro-Latina become white, you dipshit? Golly. I mean, come on, tell me. If you see my mother and my father, my mother's darker than you.
But do you hear that? But do you hear that often? You're based on your picture. Do you hear that often?
I do, and I don't give a damn. Do you think I give a damn? I didn't know what nuts I came from. Half the motherfuckers in the white tea family don't even know who their mom and daddy is because they be fucking on their cousins and stuff. What the fuck? You know, the incest motherfuckers. They are the biggest incest motherfuckers. They be messing on their daddy, their poppy. They be messing on their granddaddy. They be messing on their cousins. They be getting their sisters pregnant. What the fuck? That's an incest thing, you know? So don't come from my black ass and tell me I'm fucking white. I know what my
you're telling me you said white people be getting their sisters pregnant?
The down south motherfuckers that try to threaten me, they be incesting motherfuckers. Tell me they ain't. They be incesting.
No.
They're the biggest ones down there. Ooh, my cousin looks good. That's my third cousin. It's okay to do that. Shit, get the fuck out of here. And they're coming for me to tell me I'm white. So I know what my nutsack is. I know who my daddy is. And then he sure ain't he's my daddy. He ain't my cousin, my nana, nothing. You feel what I'm saying? Half the maggots are incest. That's why they stupid. That's why they stupid. They're interbred motherfuckers. That's why they stupid. Well, yeah, I voted for him. I make $15 now. Yep, that's an interbred motherfucker.
I think how do you respond to people that say you're being insulting?
I'm insulting?
Yeah.
Well, damn. Hallelujah. You want a cookie? You guys can't take the shit back. You motherfuckers are hateful. You motherfuckers are inbred. You motherfuckers are special. And what?
Oh my God.
And what?
You need to stop
I
this.
know what my family is.
You need to stop this suggesting that MAGA and whites down south are all this incest. What are you basing that on?
That's it. Dude, have you been to college lately? Have you been to school lately? That is the history. They be fudging, they be fudging they mama, they pappy, they uncle, they brother. It is the truth. They don't like the truth. I promise you, you can walk down the street. That's my cousin, and she was really good today. I'm like, what? Oh, you said, yes. They be doing that. They all be looking the same. That's what I'm trying to tell your ass. They are uncooked meat down there. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole pulling my doggy wee because I don't know what the fuck they be doing. And then their kids be coming out fucking special as hell, and then they be doing it all.
They all be.
You know what I mean?
You said they all be looking the same. Oh my God.
They be looking the same. Like they tell us all black men be looking the same. Hell,
Oh my
no, they don't.
God.
I can tell. And I can be, drop your pants. They all look the damn same. But not a black man, though. Because you know why? Because they be all the jeans the same, nasty, interbred mofos. Interbred. That's why they special. That's why when Donald Trump got on national TV and said, I like the uneducated. Yep, but he's talking about all the underbred. Yep. Hey, you talk what you know. Because look, one of them
I ain't never heard any of this.
Shot up somebody. No, look at it. One protest or one guy went through the damn thing in California and hurt somebody, right? That was an interbred mofo. He was a maggot. Then the other one in Minnesota, rest in peace to the two people that got unalived, he was a motherfucker. He was an interbred mofo. Oh, I'm right with Jesus. I'm such a Christian nationalist, and shot up some two innocent people. That's the hate.
And I seen Carnage Symbiote says Tim can't get no juice, no crackers from Instagram. I don't know. I think what you're suggesting sounds kind of wild. I don't think they're all. You said somebody screwed their own mom.
Think they all the ones that you have on your life are special kind of idiots. Okay, all of them. Two of them are the Triple K. One is the two. What is it called? What is that called? The Proud Boys. And he's proud of it. I'm a Proud Boy. Like your fat ass needs to go to the gym instead of worried about a Proud Boy. See, you won't let me add their asses up. And you don't push back. See, if you have me, I told you, me and you could be a good team. I'll shut my mouth until they stop talking. And then I'll roast these sorry asses and send them back to the hell, like the pits of hell like they should be.
Oh my
you feel what I'm saying?
Oh, you beating my guest up. Real quick in the comments, you got a question.
Yeah, I'll beat you again. Because see, I'm not like you. I'm not fluffing. I would tell them the damn truth about the ugly, unseasoned cooked chicken asses that probably smell like vajayjay. That can't even get no vajayjay. Half the ass. I thought they'd be going to their cousins, their aunties, their mamas, and every damn thing else interbred little mofos.
You know
I can get them back.
I say this every time. You sound like you have a deep-seated hatred for white people.
I do not like the maggots. Now, I tell you, there are some good white tea people. I'm not telling you about them. The good ones that went out and vote and protested and stuff, I'm not talking about their asses. I'm talking about the slow definition of the maggots that voted for the hate, voted for the king, voted for taking food stamps away from the elderly and the fucking kids, voted for Medicaid taken away, voted for all the hate and stuff, voted for that shit, and led this Triple K man in office. Yeah, I hate them.
I got one question.
I tell you right now.
Before I move it on from you, somebody wants me to ask you a question, and that is, Carnage Symbiote says, Tim asked Gangsta Grandma, does she think Trump is behind the assassination, and ask her if Russia is in the cahoots with Dumbo Trump, so he doesn't like Trump. Do you think what happened in Minnesota, you think Trump has something to do with that?
Yes. All the hatred. Let me tell you something. If your president comes up on national TV and spewing hate all the fucking time, right? All the time, spewing hate. Yeah, you're going to have some knuckleheads, some interbred mofos. You know what I mean? Interbred, the ones that don't know who their family member is and have sex with them. Them interbred motherfuckers. Yeah, have them come up and do some fuck shit, okay? Like they did in Minnesota and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, that is some shit. You spill it, he does it. And then Russia, Trump is the whole B word to Russia. He has his protein all over his mouth. That's his whole his b-boy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, hello, daddy, Russian, Putin. I'm your bitch. I got your protein all over.
Protein all over his mouth. I don't even want to know what the protein consists of.
Yeah, all over his mouth, like dripping protein. That is the Triple K right there. He love him some Putin. Oh, I want to be just like him. And you seen what happened this weekend. Oh, Trump is big mad. Oh, Pookie is big mad. Oh my God, 10,000 people came. 10,000 people came to hear the click of a damn what is that?
From what I do got to move it on, but from what I hear, 10,000 is small because there was 6,000 some odd soldiers in the actual parade. So only 10 grand.
The people alone. The people alone. But let me say this one last thing. Let me tell you something. He is so big mad right now. He's saying, oh, now we're going to go ice. We're going to go straight ice on you guys and all the blue. Because you know why? We showed the fuck up. And we had over 5 million people on the streets this weekend. And what his little birthday little bash was, and you hear the clink, 10,000. And those soldiers didn't even do shit right. You know why? Because they don't like his ass. But they can't say nothing. So I ain't mad at the soldiers. You know what I'm saying? The little Triple K, that's who I'm pissed off at. The little MAGA that's still on his little 2-centimeter Peter Weeder. I can't stand the asses.
All right, thanks, Grandma. Yes, I do.
Have a good one. I got to go roll up anyways. Goodbye.
All right. Real quick in regards to the parade, and I see in the comments, Jocelyn said this lady is the definition of brain rot. Wow. That's kind of awful. This is why the election needs an IQ test. I don't support that. Jocelyn, I don't support an IQ test because it won't be administered fairly. I'm pretty sure it won't. That's just opening up another avenue for voter suppression. And we do have a history of doing exactly that. Voter, what did it call it? They used to call it voter, I forgot what it was called. It was a voter test, but there was a term for it. Real quick in the comments, because she mentioned the parade yesterday and the fact that there were millions of people out in the No King's Day protest, but only a handful of people showed up at the parade. President Trump took to social media and made fun of the No King's Day protest. Here is the actual quote of what he posted on Truth Social. He said, "A huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place. But thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job." That came from Trump himself. So understand he did mock the No King's Day protest. Edgy says the highest amount of incest is in the Muslim northern, the highest amount of incest is in the Muslim northern North Africa. Does that make them disgusting or distinguishing MAGAs too? I don't get what you're saying, but you're talking about something happening in a different country though. So I can't speak on that. But you're saying the highest amount of incest takes place in the North Africa, the Muslim portion of North Africa. So would that be like Egypt and Libya and those countries over there? I don't know what relevance that has in America, but fair enough. Somebody said no facts given. Watch The Simpsons. They knew before you. 10 million across the country comparing it to a parade in one city is a reach at validation. Well, and that's a fair point. I mean, you got, dozens of cities. You can't compare the numbers of collectively dozens of cities just to what was done in D.C. But I'll tell you this, you don't need to. You don't need to compare all the cities to the numbers of Washington, D.C. Any one of those cities like Atlanta, L.A., New York, Chicago, Philly, each one of those cities had more people show up than they did at that D.C. parade. You don't need to put them all together and come up with 5 million. I got like we just stated, only 6,000 some odd soldiers participated, and only about 10,000 people showed up. So you're talking less than 20,000 people, even when you're accounting for the talent that's in the parade. Way more than that. I mean, that would probably be equivalent to one of the No Kings Day protests in secondary cities, like maybe Cincinnati or Columbus, Ohio. But the big cities, Detroit, New York, and them, way more people showed up in each individual city. Way more people showed up. So you don't need to compare them all. Just pick one. Why do they bundle the gays with the trans? Well, because the heterosexuals don't like anybody that's not heterosexual. I mean, it's just like why do they call? I guess one group is white, everybody else is minority. No matter what you are, you're a minority. Well, I mean, there's a reason why they're bundled all up together. And it's not like they're ordering insurance from Progressive where you get more when you bundle. Carnage Symbiote says, Tim, you're still buffing on YouTube. Switch to Wi-Fi. I'll give it a shot. I don't know why this particular. It's got to be the device, because only one background is downloading or something causing it. Let me go back to the box. So nobody's saying there's an issue on TikTok, Instagram, or even YouTube horizontal. No King's Day was anti-hate. Just because y'all have your fists clenched together when other people are happy. Oh, okay. So we'll see if that helps out with the streaming platform. But we'll continue on. Dencal, good evening. I saw that handsome something was in there. Dencal, good evening. Welcome to the show. Is it wrong to blame what happened in Minnesota on Trump?
That's kind of difficult question. I can't blame it on him, but I can blame it on the constant rhetoric and the constant degradation of a certain party. They every day come out and call them left-wing lunatics, and like that stuff has an effect over time. You keep calling people names, and now people's psyche over time. Just like it's people in here now saying, gangster grandma, that's the left. Like that's no. The way she articulates herself may not be comfortable to people, but what she's saying most of the time is correct. But they want to put the way she talks on the left. Like I don't even, but they have no criticism for the way Trump talks every single day.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the way she talks is something we can discuss, but the points she's making, even if you soften them up, they would be points in favor of liberals. So that's why they're saying that's how the left. I mean, the left don't all, because I don't talk like her. Just like a lot of folks on the right do not talk like Trump. But you do make a good point, is that Trump can get out there and say all kinds of awful shit about people and they're okay with it. But then when Gangsta Grandma does it, I do get that part.
Right. And I asked the person in the chat, I asked them the question. So does that mean that guy down there in Minnesota that perpetrated those heinous acts, can we call him right? Can we say that's the right? Obviously, they wouldn't like that comparison, right?
They think
though we know.
MAGA is still suggesting that killer was a Democrat.
Man, they could say that until they blew in the damn face. They got all of the proof they know from that list of people, all of the stuff talking about AB clinics, and all of those people on that list were Democrat. So how in the hell would a liberal be running around, trying to assassinate other liberals? That don't make sense. Just like they tried to say that about both the people who tried to attack Trump. They were liberals. There was nothing in their past basically to say that they were card-carrying members and they was politically.
Yeah, I don't know what the political affiliation of the people who tried to take Trump out, but the difference with Trump, as opposed to these politicians in Minnesota, is there are a lot of people that don't like Trump. I mean, Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, they're not liberals, and I'm sure they don't like him either. I mean, there are plenty of Muslim groups. There's in the LGBT. I mean, there's so many people that don't like Trump that, he's one of those kind of guys. If something happened to him, it could literally be anybody. I mean, he has a lot of enemies out there.
Right, but guess what? In this time, he has control over all branches of government, the judiciary, and everything. Have you heard his people in the DOJ one time say that they were opening an investigation to find out what the hell? We had to listen to Netanyahu say that both of the times people did it, it had something to do with Iran.
Yeah.
So, have you ever seen an assassination attempt on the president of the United States, and that guy becomes the president, nobody's investigating. Nobody's trying to find out where no.
Why do you think that is? That's a good point. Why do you think that is?
I have no idea, but I know it ain't good.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. Yeah, blaming the liberals is capital for President Trump. So if you do an investigation, and the investigation, as you say, turns out that it's Iranians or Muslims or something like that, it kind of goes against he needed to be considered as the Democrats did it. So you got enough MAGA and Republicans in the country that already believe his assassination attempts on Trump came from the liberals. So if you already got what you want, why go and investigate it?
Right, but the reverse idea to that is, if it was liberals and we got Pam Bondi, we got all of these people that would go to the mat for Trump, why are they not trying to find out? Why do they not want to know?
And don't like the answer to deliver to the people. I mean, just like with the Epstein list, you heard what Elon said about the Epstein list. But Eli P in the comments says liberals are united in their hate for whites. What do you think would lead somebody to say that?
I would ignore that, because I'm not going to add fuel to whatever person that has with liberal people. Like I have no idea what we said in this conversation that has introduced hate into the conversation. We're asking a very common question. If all of this stuff has been done by liberals, where is the proof?
Yeah. I've heard everything from Obama wiretapped his office to liberals stole the election to, everything. Trump could get a speeding ticket and the cop was liberal. I mean, that's just, it works for him to blame the liberals. So, all of his court cases, they were liberals. All of the judges that ruled against him, they're liberals or rhinos. I mean, anything bad happens to him, he's going to blame the Liberal Party because it is working.
But not do anything. But the moment somebody does something that disagrees with Trump, you got Pam Bondi, you got them open an investigation into my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like, my cousin said something on social media, opening up an investigation. But this stuff we see play out on the national level, they crickets. Like, he spent years saying that the election was stolen, that he had this information. And all of his people saying, yeah, he's gonna reveal it. As soon as he gets back in, he's gonna reveal it. Now they like, well, I don't, hopefully one day he'll reveal it. Why would you, if you got the information to prove you correct, why would you not reveal it? That don't even make sense.
Well, he doesn't have to reveal it because, the people are not going to ask him. Like I've said on the show plenty of times before, if Trump says it, it is. Why do you want to go out and deliver proof when nobody's asking for that? If Trump steps up today and says Obama is cheating and trying to thwart his campaign right now in 2025, even though Obama's not even in the spotlight, you think MAGA's going to question that?
MAGA's not going to question anything, but there's more in this people in this country than MAGA. Like, we deserve too. Like, look, you spent years trying to convince me of this. Now you got power. I want to know. Show me. All I know is what I've seen on the opposite. I've seen the people in your administration who tried to assist you in stealing the election. So at least you would want to counter that. We seen the lady who gave the information down there in Georgia. She gave up the vote on the other side, on the MAGA side, swearing up and down is somehow me. I'm the hateful person. Going out and protesting against what we see as somebody who's trying to become a king is somehow being hateful towards the army.
Good luck with that. Good luck with getting that proof. Real quick in the comments, Carnage Symbiote says Dumbo Trump ain't shit. But he also says ain't shit. Also, to answer your question, the person who made a comment about The Simpsons isn't gangsta grandma. It's a crazy old lady with the cats. The Simpsons tell the truth. Didn't The Simpsons predict an episode where Trump was going to be dead or something like that. I think it was on one of the Simpsons or something like that. They predicted he was going to be president. But Eli P. also in the comments, Dan Cal says, everyone is allowed to have a homeland except white people. I'm going to leave that to you to answer that.
They got Europe.
Yeah. Everybody is allowed to have a homeland except white people.
That's where they came from, right? That's where they came from. That's their homeland. How you gonna go to somebody else's shit and just be like, put them out and call it your homeland?
Yeah, everybody is allowed to have a homeland except whites. Has he ever been to Norway, Sweden, Finland? I mean, all of that shit is bright white up there.
Right, he can go up there to the Caucasus Mountains where they came out.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Russia
up there.
Russia doesn't have a lot of diversity either.
Yeah, you can go over there and set up shop over there. They got expansive space.
Yeah, I think as opposed to saying that whites are not allowed to have a homeland, I think you just want America to be a more white country, because there are plenty of countries around the planet that are overwhelmingly white. I mean, most of
left the white people here. How would they survive? The whole country has been built on the backs of other people all the way up until this day, and now they're trying to kick the Hispanics out. I'm wondering who next, because we had our turn. We're not about to.
They would kick them out, and then they would start slowly but surely bringing them back. That's what Trump is doing now, kicking them out, and all of a sudden, well, the hotels and the farmers are complaining. We need to bring some of them back. They would kick them out, then they would slowly bring them back. That's what they just want to get enough of them out so that they could have dominance, and then kind of start the whole process over with again.
Yeah, but that's going to affect everybody that's here, because that's going, either way it goes, it's going to it's not going to give people the jobs they need to have a standard of living. Like, people don't understand the same thing, like the soldiers that was down south, all of them soldiers that fought and died in the Civil War, and none of their asses had slaves, but they was out there fighting for people who did have slaves. This is history repeating itself. It's all of the people on the Republican side simping for billionaires, saying we got to give them a tax break. They don't even care if they don't get a tax break. We got to give them a tax break so they can hire more people.
That's how it usually works. Is you had the poor in the lower class doing the white. I would supervise the do the work. They were the first. They weren't just doing the building. They supervised it.
Yeah, and look, if you, it's too bad that they don't really teach the history of when the Pilgrims first came over, and how most of them almost died because they didn't know how to hunt, they didn't know how to farm, and actually the people that were here, there's a debate as to who they were, but there were people here when they got here, helped them, showed them how to farm the land, taught them how to hunt and survive.
Yeah.
So they saying they built, how did you build something if somebody had to teach you everything about how to survive?
Well, it's just like you say Steve Jobs or Elon Musk created all these products. No, they supervised it. I mean, it's the same thing. You go and take the best engineers from somewhere, and they work for your company now, and you get credit for anything they do. You go, because in the comments, Eli follows up by saying, if blacks built America, what the hell happened to Africa? In other words, America's civilized and it's this shining beacon of capitalism, yet when you go to Africa, it's nowhere near as advanced as America. So he's saying if blacks built America, why the hell did they do their own continent like that?
Because everybody's ideal of living is not what the American standard is. Yes, we ended up creating what we have right now here as a process. But there are a lot of places where they were just fine the way they were. Yeah. They had their family structure. They had their every way they used to go. The women went out and got the water in the day, and the men went out and hunted. They had a city center where they would pray or whatever. Like, this is not the only way to live. This is only the way we believe now, because we've been brainwashed to that having things is what makes you happy. When we've learned over and over again that the more things you have, the more the more crazy it makes you. Like, that's why we have the biggest stress rate, and that's why all of this suicide and all of this stuff is happening in this country, because there's so much shit to cloud your mind about what you should be doing in life that we just don't know which way to fucking go. It doesn't mean that somebody, a family living in Afghanistan out in the damn, on the countryside, they have everything that they need to be happy. They have a family, they have their neighbors, they have their farm, they have their sheep, they have everything. We the only ones that think you got to live in a mansion in Beverly Hills to be successful.
That's a good point. Because there's a lot, I know a lot of people that even folks who are whiter, like I want to live in a, I want to live in a rural area off the grid. A lot of folks are starting to realize that the system of capitalism, where I got to have all this shit and work 2 jobs to get it and all this, is not where it's at. Some folks are wanting to go back to the time kind of similar to how the Native Americans live, where I just take care of myself, I grow my own fruits and shit like that, and I worry me and my family get along fine. Some people are starting to realize that
they don't look. A lot of they don't need. You don't need to. Some societies, they don't need to sit in their car for an hour and a half and in rush hour traffic every day to go to a damn job. They can't in this country, and it's dog eat dog. And the high society, the rich people, get to the point where now we have to help them. And it's the crazy thing that they've created, that somebody said, look, it's trickle-down economics, and we've watched them try it since Reagan. Every time they got in here, all they've done is give the rich big-ass tax breaks, deregulate everything, do the same thing, and it always fucking fails. And then we come back, when the Republicans get back in power, and we do the same shit over to the people. Giving the money to the people. When you give money to the people, they create supply, they create the demand. So if you own a company and you get a $1 billion tax break, that don't mean I'm gonna go hire people when I still only got the same amount of customers I had before I got the money. Yeah. I'm gonna put the money in the bank, invest in myself. But if you give the money to the people, and then you used to get 100 customers, but now you got 200 customers because everybody coming to spend that extra money, that's when you hire more people to facilitate that demand.
It gets to be busted. Everybody had those stimulus checks and shit like that. People were spending money everywhere, but if you had took that same amount of stimulus money and divided it up among just a handful of billionaires, that money would still be just sitting in the bank, not moving.
Right, and people act like they didn't see what happened when we gave the money to the people. The same idea goes into when they was trying to give people for their school debt. I don't want to help nobody. Yeah. They should have paid for their loan. Hey, when those people would have got out of debt from the school loans, what would they have done with their extra money? They would have bought houses, started a family, bought vehicles. They would have put that money back into our society and gave us a better society. Instead, they're stuck in this spot paying on a loan that's never going to get paid off, and it hurts the family. So anytime we try to do something to help the family, oh no, I don't want to give money to those people because they this and they that. But one thing I want to say before I get off though, you see your boy doing the Trump phone now, right?
I've heard. What is this about?
Yeah, his sons, the Trump name, they're gonna do a phone. $47 a month for your phone service.
It might do. Well, first of all, you're going to get all of MAGA. I mean, that's going to be a booming business because MAGA, I don't care if MAGA's paying $20 right now. If they can support Trump, they'll pay the $47. So you're going to get all of MAGA guaranteed. So it's a good idea. I mean,
a large part of MAGA, they can't afford phones anyway. I'm just
sound like gangster grandma. Oh
they're not gonna blow up the industry because first of all, they talking about the phone is gonna be made in America, but if you look at the fine print, it says eventually will be made in America.
Oh my God.
One quick last thing. You was talking about the casinos and the losses. You said, did he make money and stuff like that? No, he lost $1 billion. That is why he was using that tax break that allowed you to break up your losses. He used that over a 10-year period. That's the period where he said he didn't have to pay no taxes. He lost money, and then the banks that oversaw his loans for that took control of Trump Enterprises. They made their money back, and then they gave him the company back. He did not. He didn't win no money. He lost his ass.
I can't speak on it because I'm not as aware. I'd have to look into that. But didn't count?
Right. I'm just saying I have. So right. Yeah, saying he made money or he did something good is not true.
Then I stand corrected. Appreciate it. Now I will say I do think he's a decent businessman though. I didn't know that about the casino, but his bank account is still going up, is it not? Maybe not. Poll Bill 123 says, Tim, you say MAGA is not stupid, but you call them stupid all the time. In what way? No, I do believe that they believe in things that are not true, but I believe the liberals do too. But how do I call MAGA stupid? Let me know in the comments, Poll Bill, how you suggesting that. Carnage Simeote says, Tim, play the video of the assassination where it shows the list. Liz Cheney was on that. The video of the assassination where it shows the list. I'm not aware of that video. Liz Cheney was on the list and other Congress people. Also, did you see the video of the Florida state senator? She collapsed, fainted on stage. No, I haven't seen any of this. You're saying there's a video of the assassination that shows Liz Cheney was on the list? By the way, Liz Cheney is considered a Democrat by most folks on the right. So if he is a MAGA hit person, it would make sense that he would be one of Liz Cheney. But I don't know. Unlike the other Minnesota politicians, by the way, Cheney's in Wyoming. This dude was not going to get that far. He was trying to go and hunt down Minnesota politicians. Why he wasn't going to make it to Wyoming? But anyway, if you want to suggest this, trying to suggest that this guy was a Democrat, I'm not seeing anything that would indicate that this Minnesota assassin was Democrat. The more you look into it, the more he does look like somebody anti the pro-choice situation, anti-abortion, I guess you would say. What else? I mean, they went through some of the different things that he had an issue with, and it was all he was anti-LGBTQ. That was another one that came out. Tampon Tim, remember? So this guy was not liberal. I haven't seen anything other than people tried to suggest he was liberal because he was appointed by Tim Walz. That doesn't say anything. The guy's running a security outfit. I don't think every single human being Tim Walz appointed was a liberal, because everybody Trump appointed is not Republican. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, you're seeing him everywhere. He's the guy responsible for all of these tough immigration deportation tactics. He used to work for Obama. That guy used to work at, when Obama was deporting everybody, Tom Homan was on his team as well. Trump appointed him as the border czar. So the idea, just because Tim Walz appointed somebody, that doesn't make him a Democrat. Because, like I said, Trump has appointed Tom Homan. So that ain't enough by itself. I don't see anything else in this guy's past to suggest he's a Democrat. He looks like he is not only a Republican, but he's MAGA. And they talked to his roommate who said he was really hardcore being anti-abortion. That's certainly something that is far right. Not right, but far right. Same MAGA pays $20 for their phone bill now, but they'll pay $40 for a Trump phone. Yeah, I do. Listen, you're trying to tell me that means that I'm saying MAGA stupid. No, I'm saying MAGA is devoted to Trump. I think MAGA is devoted to Trump to the point where even if something is not necessarily working out for their best interest, they believe that if you support Trump, it eventually will. Think about how MAGA felt about e-vehicles before Trump came along. When Trump was criticizing electric vehicles and saying all it, the range, the horsepower, the towing capacity, all of the negative things, the charging stations, not many of them, all the negative things Trump was saying about e-vehicles throughout the campaign. Once he teamed up with Elon and started promoting e-vehicles, all of a sudden MAGA, the ones who could afford it, were going around buying the damn Cybertruck, and all of that stuff. So they just a few months ago thought the vehicles were trash. Then they suddenly started buying them. So yeah, I think that if Trump came out with a mobile phone and the bill was $10 or $15 more than the phone they have now, Trump, as you heard my last caller suggesting, saying the phones are made in America, that would be enough. Okay, I'm willing to pay a few extra pennies, but I'm buying American. Yeah, I think they would do it. I ain't calling them stupid. I think they're devoted to the causes that Trump support. So I'll leave it at that. I'll keep a gas vehicle. People got because they support Elon. I see that. Not sure. You're missing some words in there, but that is true. Yeah, they went out and some of them went out and bought an electric vehicle solely because they were supporting Trump. That absolutely happened. And I'll continue on. MAGA is beyond just Trump. He was just the initial catalyst. MAGA is its own thing now. It ain't the same, no presidential touch. I'll agree with you. I mean, the Tea Party was essentially MAGA before it started being called MAGA, but if something happened to Trump, the MAGA movement would not be anywhere near as strong as it is now, because Trump is great at speaking and organizing and bringing people out. I don't think Elon, I don't think Don Jr., I don't think J.D. Vance, I don't think Ron DeSantis, I don't think Ted Cruz. These are the kind of people that would probably hit the movement if something happened to Trump. I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene. None of them has the draw of President Trump. None of them. And I'll tell you why I say that. If Trump had a problem with any of those folks, Vance, Musk, you see what happened with Musk, DeSantis, you see what happened to Ron DeSantis. Trump could make MAGA turn ill of any of those folks like that. So none of those folks have the draw of MAGA. That's not to say MAGA will go away if something happens to Trump. It won't be the same, though. It will not be the same. And you see the power that Trump has. He can make folks go away like nothing, no matter how strongly the Republican Party is supporting him. Ron DeSantis in the 2022 midterms was a rock star among the Republican Party. Deep Red won Florida by a lot. The minute he started running for president, MAGA was blaming him for ruining Disney World and all of that shit, starting to turn on him that quick. All he did was ran against Trump, and suddenly there was all kinds of problems with it. Same thing with Elon. Elon was a rock star. They're posting videos of Elon and Trump dancing together to staying alive and all this shit. The minute he had a problem with Trump, boom, his credibility is now he doesn't have credibility anymore. So yeah, I think Mac will be around, but it's a big difference if something were to happen to Trump or Trump had to step down and he wasn't involved in it. Real quick looking in the comments though, my device go off. Something happened with my YouTube horizontal. Real quick, go to the next call and I'll bring it back up. It's the fault of the left. They have been making violence acceptable. Really? Okay. I'd like to know what makes you say that, Jeremy. Speaking of Jeremy, good evening, Jeremy. Welcome to the program. I'd like to hear your take on that. Now, you're saying it's the fault of the left. Give me your take on this, Jeremy. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What do you mean by it's the fault of the left? They've been making violence acceptable.
This doesn't make what the right did okay. So I just want to clarify that right away.
Okay.
So two people can be wrong at the same time.
Okay.
But
so what are you saying? Both parties are making. What are you saying? Both parties are making violence acceptable?
Now it's starting to become that, and I want my party to back off before they become just like the left.
Explain.
So we've seen people like Maxine Waters say violent things.
Yeah, but you do realize you're on mute, Jeremy. I'll give him a second. I don't know if
yeah. Sorry, someone who came by.
Now you're talking about Maxine Waters when she said that when you protest, you got to get in people's faces. You talking about stuff like that?
Yeah, and a few other things, but like
yeah, but you do realize when Trump talks about putting people in the back of the police car and not putting your hand behind their head so they'll bang up against the police car, isn't he promoting the same kind of violence?
I haven't heard that one actually.
What about him talking about? Well, you may not be old enough to remember what he said at his first campaign rally about a protester that was at his rally. He talked about punching the guy in the face and he would pay the legal fees for it. Did you hear that one?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, but while I don't think that should have been how he ended the speech, what he was talking about was somebody who was actually trying to get violence and cause a scene at his actual rally. It wasn't just simply,
the guy wasn't trying to get violent. Why would you go to a MAGA protest, a MAGA rally, and try to get violent when you're one guy in a sea of MAGA? That guy was not trying to get violent. He was trying to protest.
He was.
How?
He was.
In what way?
Real nasty. Like if you watch the whole clip, he was like causing trouble. He was trying to like get loud in people's faces.
You said violent. And he was removed. That wouldn't make sense to go to a. That wouldn't make sense to go to a Trump. I mean, I've been to a Trump rally. That ain't the place for a Democrat to get out of hand in terms of being violent. You're just begging for it if you do that.
Tell that to the guy who was laid on the roof at that one rally that he did.
Well, yeah, but he has an AR-15 weapon though. He ain't unarmed. I'm talking about a regular person that's unarmed in a MAGA gathering. The guy had a rifle where nobody else has a rifle other than the Secret Service. He had an advantage.
Yeah, but I'm saying this isn't something that necessarily is logical to begin with. It's done to disrupt and to cause havoc. Okay? That doesn't mean that it has to be logical. I don't think it's logical either. I never thought that it was logical to begin with. But that's the thing. People sometimes do things to just cause a scene, to get attention, to try to cause trouble. I remember back in 2016, there was actually a men's rights advocate who was going to speak at a university. His name was Dr. Warren Farrell, and activists.
Hold on one second, Jeremy, while you're on mute. Carnage Symbiote, you says Tim, I have to push back. There is a problem with Tulsi Gabbard. I guess you're talking about Tulsi Gabbard. She's making up wild conspiracies about the end of the world. What's your opinion on that? I'm not aware. What has she said that's in regards to the end of the world? I have not heard that. End of the world? You gotta elaborate. What is that? His definition of, looking in the comments, Carlton Carter says his definition of violence is convenience and selective. Yeah, I listen. If you want to suggest that the Democrats are promoting violence, but you don't see it coming out of Trump, Trump's been promoting violence since he's been on the scene. Because I brought up the punch a protest in the face, I'll pay your legal fees. The whole thing about putting your hand behind putting your hand behind the head of a suspect. All of that stuff's from Trump's first term. Trump did come on the scene talking violent as well. So, Jeremy, like I said, maybe you don't remember some of that stuff, but Trump has been talking violence from very early on.
Well, that's not okay. I don't think that would be okay for him to do if he really did do that. Again, a lot of times when people say things that he said, you play the full clip and you're like, oh, no, he didn't say that. He said something else. Like the whole, both good people on both sides thing was a lie.
But here's the point I got to make. With Trump, why is it that when Trump says everything he says, you got to listen to 30 minutes of him talking and make sense out of it, like he's Shakespeare or something. When Biden falls, we take a picture of the fall and we go with that. We don't say, well, let me see what's on the ground. Did he trip over something? Let me see 20 minutes. Or what did he eat that day? I mean, all of a sudden, when Trump does something that's controversial, we need to zoom out and see all of this other information and make it make sense. But with everybody else, a simple soundbite is enough to go with. Why is that?
Well, I think that you should. I think that with Biden, you should. The problem becomes that when you really get down to it, when you watch the full clips of Biden, they don't really help him out that much.
But to be honest with you, I don't think that when they accuse Trump of stuff, I don't think most of the full clips help him out much either. I mean, the right can find ways to make it help him out, but I don't think that, listen, when people say stuff and they use those sound bites, usually those sound bites are all you need to hear. It usually ain't much more there. It's just the right needs more information so they can spin it in some kind of way to help them out. But fact is, them sound bites are usually ample.
Well, here's the thing. We could go back and forth about this all day, but one thing is for sure, it's not just Trump. It's most of the sound bites we concentrate on with Trump are just Trump. But when it comes to the left, it's not just simply Biden. It's not just simply one senator. Like, have you heard of a streamer known as Hassan Piker?
No.
That's a little surprising. He's pretty. He's been featured on a few.
But you're about to give me some person on the internet. You say it's just Trump. You don't Steve Bannon and Julian. There's plenty of folks on the right that say inflammatory shit. It ain't just Trump. It's just that Trump, because he's president, is getting all the credit for it. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene showing people's penises and shit. I mean, Bobart. There's plenty of folks on the right that say inflammatory and violent shit all the time. It ain't just Trump. I mean, you're going to point out all of these folks on the left and pretend like Trump is the only one on the right saying wild stuff?
Wait, violence? Can you give me an example?
Take our country back by combat. I think Giuliani said that on January 6th. Let's have trial by combat. Didn't Speaker Johnson just recently suggest that Gavin Newsom needs to be tarred and feathered? That just happened the other day.
Where did you hear that? I haven't heard anything about that. If he did say that, then should not be. That's not okay.
Let me see if I can find it for you, because he absolutely said it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is,
absolutely.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. If that
happened, then that's horrible.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you watch only right, or if you only watch left-wing media, they're only going to show you things that are bad from the other side. If you watch Fox News, they're not going to show you awful things that Trump is doing. They're only going to show you stuff like Maxine Waters. That don't mean it ain't happening. And this one absolutely happened. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was Speaker Johnson that said it. I'll see if I can find a comment, but he absolutely said it because it's been making the news rounds. You just, like I said, if you're watching right-wing media, let me see if I can bring it up. If you're watching media on the right, you're not going to hear it. This is a 30-second clip here.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get my damn audio up.
Newsom, you believe that Newsom should face consequences, possibly in death.
Okay, here I'm going to rewind this. 30, this is a little bit over a minute, but...
The president said, possibly in death, that if he were Tom Homan, he would arrest Gavin Newsom. Do you believe that Newsom should face consequences in a legal way?
That's not my lane. I'm not going to give you legal analysis on whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested, but he ought to be tarred and feathered. I'll say that. I mean, look, he's standing in the way of the administration and the.
This ain't even a week old, so I'm just letting you know. Okay. And he ain't the only one. He ain't the only one that says something. I mean, that's basically killing the guy and torturing him.
Yeah, okay, that's a stupid move. Why would he say that? Okay. Here's the thing. If he were to just have said, yeah, he should be arrested, that would be, go through a legal process that's legal in the United States. If you think someone has committed a crime. What kind of boneheaded comment? I don't know. That's really stupid.
Yeah. But the point I'm making, what I was saying to you before I played this clip, is that if you only watch right-wing media, they're not going to play nothing like this. If Maxine Waters had said this, it would be all over the 5, it would be all over the OAN and all that. But when a right-winger says it, they're not going to play this. They're going to just wait till the liberals do something. They're going to say, see, the liberals are promoting violence. And their audience is never going to know this even happened.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's 100%. That dude should get up and apologize and say, like, I shouldn't have said that. That was fucked up. Yeah. That's not okay. I see. Here's the thing. I hold actions accountable, and even though I voted for Trump, like I'm willing to hold him accountable. Like if all of a sudden we find out that he's in the Epstein files, then he should go to jail, and he shouldn't be allowed to be president.
Yeah. How do you respond to, like Michael in the comment says that this is the Speaker of the House, the person who replaced Nancy Pelosi. Mike in the comment says this guy would have never said this if Trump was not okay with it. What say you? And by the way, Trump hasn't criticized him at all for saying this shit either.
I don't really know. I feel like maybe he thinks that in his own head. I don't think Trump would really approve of this. But since he hasn't said anything, then personally, it's anyone's game. I didn't even know he said this to begin with.
I mean, this is literally the third. This is literally the third in charge. If something was to happen to Trump and J.D. Vance, this is a guy that would be president. He's a third in charge. So obviously Trump knows this took place. Trump knows that this was said.
Yeah. Personally, I think Trump should come out and say that what he said wasn't okay. That wasn't what we want to happen.
Good luck on that.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, good luck with that. And I see in the comments, Frank White, one of my viewers, Frank White said, "I'm glad he said it. Said it's true." So there you go. And that's obviously going to be MAGA suggesting that it's true that Gavin Newsom should be tarred and feathered. So I just want to point that out. When you started the program out suggesting that the liberals are promoting violence, I'm going to tell you, you're not. If your problem is citizens and voters that support political violence, so you lead a Democrat Party and you go to the Republican Party, you ain't escaping that one bit. There's plenty of folks on the right that are okay with political violence.
Okay, so can we agree that neither side is completely hands clean?
We can agree with that. But I will say this though, it's a big they don't talk like this.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll actually say that's not okay. And here's the thing. I think the temperature of our politics needs to calm down and go down a lot. I think the left needs to call out Antifa, the communist organization that it is, and needs to disavow Black Lives Matter because they've definitely rioted plenty of times.
You wouldn't need Black Lives Matter if people would just acknowledge what they're talking about actually is happening. If it wasn't for the right pushing back against every claim that the police is getting out of hand, you wouldn't need Black Lives Matter. I mean, the reason why Black Lives Matter exists is some of these families are not getting justice. You realize we can talk about the corrupt spending of the donations that was given to Black Lives Matter, or people claiming that the organization promotes fascism. But think about how many victims got justice because Black Lives Matter showed up and started threatening to riot and protest, where they were going to just sweep it under the rug and nothing was going to happen. So if we get rid of Black Lives Matter, what happens to them people?
If you look at the batting average of Black Lives Matter, there's only one or two out of the many, many, many cases that they've rioted about where they were actually in the right. The majority of them were in the wrong.
Give me 3 of them that they were in the wrong, because I can give you plenty where they were in the right. Give me 3 where they were in the wrong. Give me 1 where they were in the wrong.
Oh yeah, Mike Brown. That's a good example. Mike Brown did not have his hands up at all. He lunged at an officer.
Yeah, but look what came out of Mike Brown. I agree with you. The Mike Brown case under the Obama administration with Eric Holder, they ruled that he didn't have his hands up and that he was a genuine bad guy and a justifiable shoot. But that investigation led to all sorts of racism in the Ferguson Police Department. So that there was still plenty of good. A lot of folks who were the whole town was getting mistreated. So they found out the one guy who was the ire of all of the attention was wrong. But there was a reason why everybody jumped in to scream, because it was bad shit happening. Give me another one.
I can't. Okay, here's another one. The one that started off for the protest that Kyle Rittenhouse got caught up in. Forgot his exact name, but he wasn't a good guy. He was actually trying to run away with his ex-girlfriend's children.
I know the case you're talking about. The guy who got shot a bunch of times for reaching in the car and said he was going for a knife or whatever. I'm kind of up in the air on that one, because when you got a bunch of cops sitting around and only one of them is doing all the shooting, when all the other ones are looking right at the suspect and they don't see any reason to shoot him up like that. And that's what happened in that case. He's shooting a guy, and there are other people sitting right there, other cops that don't see a lethal threat. And it turns out that they claim he was reaching in the car to get a knife and I guess come out of the car with a pocket knife and take on a bunch of armed officers. I'm not totally on the camp that case. Now, the Mike Brown, I'll give that to you. They actually looked into it and they ruled, but in that case, I don't see it as strongly as you do on that one.
Okay, what about the guy that Daniel Penny choked out? The Michael Jackson impressionist.
Yeah, you're talking about Daniel Penny choking the guy on the subway.
It was freaking out at people who had a violent criminal record, who was clearly on drugs and was posing a real danger. Also, by the way, to anyone in New York, I'm just going to say this right now. You don't need to start taking martial arts classes, because I have seen so many videos, especially of women being essayed and harassed on subways, and nobody does shit.
Well, Well, I'm not, I can't speak on it. I'm not in New York, but in Chicago, I don't recommend riding the subway. Chicago's pretty wild. Any system, any public transportation in the middle of the night ain't safe no matter where you're at. It's just not a good place to be. I mean, that's what it is public transit, especially in a big city, public transportation. But even in smaller towns, you riding a cab, you're riding Uber, public transportation is just not safe. That's not a good way to go, but it is what it is. But like I said, I'll just say whether it's George Floyd or Ma Diallo, I mean, there are so many cases where the police were just going to sweep the shooting or the killing under the rug, and BLM showed up and that family got some kind of justice. Even the George Zimmerman case where he was ruled to be justified, they gave that guy his gun back and wrapped that up in 2 hours. They were not even going to look into what happened. So, and that's another case where, to me, George Zimmerman got away with that, but I don't believe you should be able to initiate contact with somebody and then claim you stood your ground. You're going to go following the dude off in the middle of the night suggesting that he's robbing places when he's not, somehow catch up to him and say, well, a fight happened and I had to kill him. I don't buy what happened in that case, but once again, without BLM, nothing was going to happen on that. They were going to just give George Zimmerman his gun back and send him home.
I'll give you George Zimmerman because it was highly weird, that he was following this dude around. It's like the police even told him, hey, don't follow that dude around. That's dangerous. That's a dumb idea. Yeah. So I'll give you George Zimmerman. And I will also add this too, because I see one of the individuals in the comments said this guy wants to take 2 or 3 cases to justify it. Get out of here. Another thing I will point out is body cams, the banning of chokehold. There's a lot of whole policies that have changed because of BLM. The way police have to interact with citizens. The fact is, police now feel like there is more accountability for what they do because of BLM. All that we're not taking into account. Didn't Obama already push for body cams already, like before BLM?
I don't know, because I went to a BLM rally and I remember the chief of police telling us that they banned chokeholds because of us. Because of what's been going on, we've decided to stop. Told our officers that to stop using chokeholds. I mean, there are whole policy changes.
As someone who's actually taken martial arts, that's a little odd, because if you put someone in a rear naked choke, as long as you don't hold it on for too long, all it does is make the person temporarily go unconscious due to the lack of blood to the brain.
But you're expecting a pissed off.
But there's no permanent damage.
Yeah, but let's go with what you're saying. You're expecting a pissed off officer, maybe one who is super upset. Maybe his wife is leaving him. He's pissed off that this asshole is talking shit to him. Maybe he's a racist. Whatever. You're expecting them to think logically like you are right now. They're not thinking that way. You got this asshole that made you run across the whole damn city chasing them and putting lives in danger. He's not thinking, well, I better let him go because I'm cutting off the circulation. He's pissed off. You're taking human emotion out of it. A lot of the times these cops are doing stuff because they're just like human beings. They get in their emotions, they get in their feelings, they fuck around and kill somebody. So go ahead.
Here's the thing. In a life or death situation, I'm sorry. I don't care if it's not legal for me to use a rear naked choke. I'm going to use it because it's like I want to live.
But here's the problem, though, Jeremy. None of these cases feature life and death situations. In most cases, you got one victim and multiple cops on the scene. I don't think there's any case where somebody has been put in a rear naked choke by the only officer on scene. It's usually other cops standing around or watching it. It's not a life or death situation.
That's not always the case. That's not always the case. There have been times where like civilians have had to come in when a cop is all alone and getting ganged up on by multiple attackers.
Well, but none of those cases feature a controversial police shooting or killing. I'm talking about the ones where the police are accused of doing something wrong. The cases you're talking about, ain't nobody gonna have a problem with that.
Maybe. Look. At the end of the day, I just see the practical use of like. Have you ever taken jiu-jitsu or Greco-Roman wrestling?
No.
I would highly recommend it. It's really, really good for like protecting you and the person who you're sparring against, because it's designed specifically to restrain and hold people and use their own body against them. rather than to just strike, like Muay Thai and boxing will fuck someone up. There's no doubt about that. Okay, but it will do serious damage because that's all striking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not arguing with any of this stuff, but like I said, you in a life or death situation, that's one thing. But when you're trying to arrest somebody because they've allegedly passed a counterfeit $20 bill, or you're trying to get somebody out of the car because they don't want to get out because they don't think a traffic stop should require them to get out of the car, I don't think you should elevate it all the way to a chokehold. If it's what you're talking about, where it's a life or death situation, that's one thing. But most of these cases don't involve a life or death situation. It's just a cop trying to restrain somebody and they end up dead.
Well, I guess we'll just have to disagree on that because I don't think either one of us wants unnecessary force to be put on someone or someone to die for no good reason. But I think we just see this in two different ways, and I don't think we're going to agree on this.
All right, fair enough. Appreciate you coming through, Jeremy, as always. Pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good one, Tim.
You too. All right, moving on with the comments. Somebody said, I wonder. Okay, somebody asked a question. Are we still talking about anecdotal? I don't know where it was at. Oh, it says, are we still talking about statistical insignificant fatal police encounters? Are we still talking about statistically insignificant fatal police encounters? Well, let me make something clear. If it is your loved one, it's not statistically insignificant. Remember with Lincoln Riley, one is too many? All of a sudden, when it's somebody of color losing, well, it don't happen that often. You see the bias in that? Lincoln Riley, one is too many. It ain't a whole lot of biological males playing in women's sports. Yeah, but one is too many. All of a sudden, the black guy gets shot. Well, it's kind of improbable. That doesn't happen that often. Do you see the bias in that? I clearly do. Let me go back to the box. Tap the screen, by the way. Get your boy on up to 60,000 likes. All of a sudden, one is too many doesn't come out. I see Mita says he's a racist. He's certainly biased in some way or another. How come I ain't ever had a police issue, says Flash in the Pants Pay Dirt. Luck. It could be your neighborhood. It could be how you talk to police. I mean, there's a host of reasons why you may have never had a police encounter. Following a law significantly increases the likelihood of you having less encounters with police, but it doesn't guarantee shit won't happen. I don't have any arrests on my record. My record is cleaner than most police. I got 2 or 3 encounters I can tell you about, being profiled and cops wanting to search the car and saying all kinds of derogatory shit. So even if you follow the law, it doesn't guarantee you won't have an encounter, but it greatly reduces it. But like I said, it depends on how do you talk to police when you get pulled over. I'll tell you, probably the best way to ensure you don't have a negative encounter with police is to turn into a bitch anytime you interact with them. Real submissive, sir, apologize, even if you didn't do shit wrong. That will greatly increase your likelihood of not having any negative encounter with the police. But you do have rights. You do have constitutional rights. And even if you've done nothing wrong, if you try to invoke those rights, you could have a whole lot of problems with police. You've seen the audit the police channels. You take the black and white thing out of it. A lot of those guys are white guys, just simply trying to invoke their constitutional rights. No, I don't have to give you an ID. I don't have to tell you my name. I'm legally allowed to open carry. All of that shit gives them problems. So the idea that, well, you won't have no problems if you follow the law, that's flat out bullshit. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube of people having all sorts of bad encounters with cops when they were just following the fucking law. And you can easily challenge it and find out by doing what they do. I'm going to find out if this cop is going to try to prevent me from open carrying, or he's going to try to prevent me from my First Amendment rights, and they fail all the time. They audit the cops and the cops fail. Cops don't know the fucking law, all of that stuff. So imagine the people who don't initiate the stops, how bad it is for them if the folks who are auditing them are showing you how many cops on the street don't know the law. So the idea that if you follow the law, you won't have these problems, bullshit. You're ignoring all of the people that are posting on YouTube showing you that you'll have problems. You're ignoring the fact that every single defense attorney in the fucking country tells you to limit your interaction with police. Don't answer anything other than what you absolutely have to answer. Don't volunteer any information. Any defense attorney in the country will tell you, don't trust police. Don't ever just take them to be trustworthy. I don't care what race, I don't care what gender, I don't care what neighborhood you in, they all tell you that. They all tell you that. So the idea, well, if you just follow the law, when shit happen, go talk to any defense attorney. And they'll tell you bad shit happens to good people all the time. You might be just encountering a bad cop. Perfect example right now. The Trump administration needs to deport 3,000 immigrants per day. That's what they announced. They want to deport 3,000 immigrants per day. You don't think some bad shit is happening to meet that quota? You understand that anytime you give police a quota, they're going to do whatever it takes to make that quota happen. Their quota is 3,000 immigrants per day. You don't think people are getting profiled and pulled over and demanding paperwork from American citizens that happen to be brown? You don't think people are getting fucked up behind that? If you don't see that, you don't want to see that. But anytime you give police a quota, they're going to do things that may not be legal to meet that quota. And chances are the person that gave them that quota is going to be willing to ignore some of that stuff. Looking at the comments, Ed P says 90% of interracial violence is black on white. 90% of interracial violence is black on white. Chances are it is higher coming from the black community. I don't know. 90% is pretty fucking high, though. It's pretty high. Cardiff Symbiote says, Tim, your last caller, he's not understanding what the different levels of de-escalation. He's probably more with going to violence than de-escalation. He wants to kill. You are talking de-escalation. You're talking about Jeremy before I go to the next caller, but I will say that's probably the biggest issue with police in regards to why you have so many unwanted events is they don't do a good job in effort to de-escalate. And before I take the next caller, just for reference, we'll play this guy one more time. Big dog, yeah! Appreciate the hat mustache. Thank you.
You're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead.
Now, many people favor what he said. Many people like that tough talk. Fair enough, because he is talking about addressing criminals. But let me ask you this question by way of yes or no in the comments. How many of you folks believe that he is a de-escalation type of police officer? How many of you folks hear de-escalation in what he is suggesting? That if you get out of line, this guy will try to de-escalate the situation and obviously get you to adhere to the law, but try to de-escalate the situation and not take it any higher than it needs to be. How many folks are hearing that in that? Because I don't hear any idea or any inclination of stopping the threat. He sounds like he's going straight to murdering you, whether it's dragging you under a car, whether it is sending you to the hospital or killing you graveyard dead, as he said. Remember, the job of the police is to stop the threat, not murder the individual, not deliberately inflict harm on the individual. Everything he's talking about is violence. So understand that. You follow the law, you won't have any problems. No, it doesn't always work that way. My guess is if this guy, if you encountered this guy, you even tried to invoke your constitutional rights, you might have a problem out of this guy. Because he clearly sounds like a de-escalation type. He sounds like a escalation type of law enforcement. This would be the wrong guy to really do anything other than turn into a bitch and be submissive to. Otherwise, this guy's likely to hurt you or take you to jail. Or if he can charge you with something, he's going to do it. That's the way I see this guy. If you do something and he has a way of charging you with it, There's not going to be any sympathy, any passes, nothing. I mean, if he can charge you with something, he's going to do it. And if there's any reason to be violent to you, he's going to be violent to you. Somebody said awesome in the comments. Yeah, like I said, if you like this type of talk, but you don't want people to dislike police, you're kind of going against your own wishes. Fact, if you like this tough talk from law enforcement, that's fine. But don't then expect people to respect law enforcement. You're not going to get both. You're going to get one or the other. Matt Gibson, appreciate the support. Thank you. Real quick before we continue on, Matt Gibson says, mind if I call you? I have a question for you. You got to be on TikTok or Instagram, Matt, unfortunately. YouTube doesn't allow that. But if you're on the Handsome Liberal on YouTube or Instagram, we'll bring you right up. Before we continue on, and thank you for becoming a friend of the program. Hell no, he is Smokey the Bandit, is a racist. Carnage Scipiote, you are wild tonight. Let me go back to the box. But yeah, that's a bad cop in my opinion. That cop right there would be the one you don't want to encounter. He's looking for a reason to be violent to somebody. Sherbert, good evening.
How's it going, Tim?
Going all right. We were talking earlier about the parade, the military parade, and just simply asking the question now that it's over, was it worth it?
Absolutely not. But before we talk about that, I was hoping to address some with Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy, good old Jeremy. Okay, what you got?
I'm just confused why people are still demonizing Black Lives Matter. When, yeah, clearly the head of it, or at least one of the sets of Black Lives Matter organizers, stole a bunch of money. That's fucked up. I get it. But to demonize the entirety of the movement is just really dumb to me. Clearly, there has been things fucked up. You know, people have done fucked up things to black people, and of all different colors of this country. Having a group that fights for their rights is not inherently evil, and I'm really tired of these idiots just demonizing everything because it's not what dear leader said.
Well, the simple reason is they don't believe. You said people have done fucked up things to black people. They don't believe that's happening in modern times. They believe black people are making it up to be victim blaming. They believe, if anything, the folks who are being mistreated in this country currently are white. So they believe what Black Lives Matter is doing is giving black people some kind of unfair advantage by pretending like they're victims. That's why they don't like it.
I get that. But that's also really fucking stupid and racist.
Well, let's be clear, Sherbert. There is no era in American history where anyone fighting on behalf of equality for blacks, Native Americans, women, or whatever. If you're fighting on behalf of equality for any group of people, you're going to have a bunch of white people angry with you. There's no way I don't care what era you go to, people are going to say you're fighting for some shit that ain't happening, and you're the problem. Even with Martin Luther King, they were bringing up that he was fucking hoes. I mean, they're going to find you take LeBron James, just shut up and dribble. Obviously, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are race baiters. What is his name? Ben Crump is one of the guys. Now, if you are fighting on behalf of civil rights, they're going to find a reason to say you're a piece of shit. There's no way to do it without that.
Yeah, but I don't like bullies, so whatever.
Yeah.
But this parade, totally justified in the fact that it gave everyone a reason to show their dislike of Trump when you have 10 million people entering the streets at the same time, practically. And then for what, like 5,000 people? I know Trump said 200,000 people showed up, but when you look at that footage, maybe 10,000 came out. So,
well, let's be clear. Anytime you get numbers from Trump and their numbers in relation to him, those numbers are going to be exaggerated. I mean, like I said, whether it's his height, whether it's his dick size, whether it's how many chicks he's had. Anytime Trump gives you numbers, those numbers are exaggerated.
I very much agree with you. And that's one of the things that drives me the most crazy about Gen X, MAGA Reacts, Jeremy, is that they just believe wholesale all these numbers when you can just look at the evidence. And if you won't look at the evidence and actually come to rational conclusions, I can't trust you on anything. Like, oh, we should just put them in a rear naked choke. You know, people can die within only 5 to 10 extra seconds of choking too long. But no, that's totally fine. You fucking idiot.
He did say that. He absolutely did say that.
Yeah, he might know how to do it, but is he in the middle of grappling with somebody in the middle of the street or in a dojo? It's a very different situation. He's such a dipshit. Same way we should get rid of the USPS and give it to FedEx. The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, they do plan on doing that, don't they?
Oh, fuck, I hope not.
Get rid of the Postal Service. And I mean, the thing about it is they're claiming that the Postal Service is financially inefficient. And, you know, it would be better to send mail through the private sector.
No, it's good for the CEOs for it to go through the private sector. Yeah. We still need base information to go through. The same way we probably still need public radio, but they're not okay with Big Bird, saying some shit to Trump.
That's crazy. Well, the thing about it is if you get rid of a bunch of that shit, you kind of get rid of a lot of dissent. I mean, these are areas where there is a lot of criticism of Trump. So he's getting rid of enemies by doing that.
Oh, yeah, you, Fluffin.
How am I fluffing?
How Trump couldn't possibly want to create his legacy for the rest of, the country or for the rest of the history of this country with his family's business and his hotels. No, there's no way he's already has money and he wouldn't want more.
I gotta say, listen, maybe it's because I have never had I don't even dream of having all the money Trump has access to. So maybe that is it, is that he's in another galaxy financially than I am. But yeah, I couldn't imagine being his age and still actively trying to, seek to get more billions of dollars. I mean, you're almost 80 years old. You could spend $1 billion probably for the rest of your life and never run out of money. Yet you're actively still out there seeking more money. It's a level of greed that I will never understand.
You're forgetting about the narcissism. You're not trying to put your golden left sign, your golden name up on top of buildings everywhere.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Ego.
Dennis Calhoun now we talked about this earlier, whereas Trump was talking about bringing Russia into the G7 to make it the G8 again.
Oh, fuck.
Now Dennis Calhoun in the comments says that Trump just abruptly left the G7 after saying everyone should leave Tehran. Have you heard anything like this? We didn't get out of the G7, did we?
I haven't dumped on that yet. But it sounds like somebody probably hurt his feeties and he went running with his tail between his legs when the rest of Europe said, fuck you. You can't just control the entire world with tariffs.
Yeah.
Isn't this the first real meeting between all of the world governments since he started fucking around?
I'm wondering how many Republican Congress and Republican senators do not agree with how Trump is behaving on the world stage, supporting Russia as opposed to the Ukraine, giving Israel pretty much carte blanche ability to do whatever they want. I'm wondering how many Republicans, because they're not saying anything, but you got to assume, because many of them were working when George W. Bush was in office, and he said, I looked into Putin's eyes and I could see his soul. Now, Trump comes in there and he does a 180-degree turn on Russia from George W. Bush. And a lot of these senators in Congress that were still there during that era are saying nothing. They can't all agree with Trump, do you think?
I think it's more fear of dear leader than anything. The same when after January 6th and they all fled from Trump as fast as they could. And then as soon as Kevin McCarthy went in for his dinner with him, everything started to switch back. They're just flip-floppers. We really need to kick out most of the people in Congress and Senate so that we can have fresh blood instead of these 90-year-old dickheads.
Well, look, at the end of the day, both sides it's easy to talk about term limits, but once you're in there, you need them to help your agenda. Trump is probably the best president in our lifetime that could actually get rid of term limits. Trump, if he really wanted to end term limits, he's probably in a better position to do it than any president ever, because I don't think they would push back against him as strongly. Whereas Obama or Bush or some of the other ones wouldn't be able to do it. Trump could get term limits. He could get Congress to probably vote in favor of term limits if he actually wanted it.
I could see that, but he's never going to do it. That would mean giving up power to his cronies that once he gets them in.
Not necessarily.
There's no way. They haven't passed any real bills in this entire 6 months. You think they're going to even start to think about term limits?
No, it's not going to happen under Trump. But here's how I've been saying that you could get term limits, certainly under Trump. is that, okay, first of all, Trump goes around and does rallies letting all the voters know, I'm actually going to propose a bill for term limits, and I'll let you know who don't agree with it. But what I would suggest, you get them all in the room, particularly the Republican congressmen, because that's really all you need right now. And you tell them, I'm going to propose a bill that in 10 years, starting in 2035, you could only serve 8 years or 6 years or whatever. That's when the term limits begin in 2035. That way you got 10 years to get all of your affairs in order. You want to get paid, whatever you want to do. That gives you 5 more terms if you win them all to get paid and do everything. I think they would agree with that. So that way it ain't starting at 2035. So I think they would agree with that.
You're probably right. I just can never see it actually happen with a narcissistic dictator like that.
You think he's that narcissistic?
100%. I mean, I think he ranks on the scales higher than pretty much anyone other than Rasputin.
Damn. Really? Yikes. Well,
I mean, he wishes he could get his legacy up to Rasputin levels.
Well, at this point, when you look at
Mushroom Boy versus keeping his schlong in a jar.
When you look at the poll numbers, though, on Trump, yeah, I mean, unless something really big and bad happens, his legacy historically probably is not going to be that good. I mean, because whether it's immigration, his poll numbers on the economy are dropping. Obviously, his poll numbers in regards to world affairs is not as strong. I mean, like border security, he should probably get high marks. But other than border security,
it depends on how you ask, because MAGA Reacts is still going to give him an A+ no matter what. And he's going to say he's impartial, but he's still going to say, A+ even if he gets us into another war.
I don't even know if MAGA Reacts is still giving him an A+ though. And real quick in the comments, Carnage Symbiote says, tell Sherbert you took the words out of my mouth. Thank you so much. I got all flavors of ice cream waiting for you. You're welcome. So you said something that resonated with him. So
I just wish I remember which part.
Yeah, he'll let me know in the comments for certain. So, but at the end of the day, G7 going to be the G8. And this is what I want to talk about. Something I wanted to ask you before. We were talking about this earlier on the program. But what happened in Minnesota? People are blaming this assassin's work on the rhetoric coming from Trump and MAGA. Is that wrong to do that as opposed to just putting the blame at the feet of the guy committing the crimes?
Can't we do both?
But is it really Trump's fault?
Tim, I remember talking to you, I don't know, a week ago or so about you can't keep kicking the dog and expecting not to get bit.
You did say that. I do remember that.
He's been kicking this dog for 10 years now. You can't, you wonder why Patriot Front went out in that Penske truck and loaded them all back up when the crowd said, fuck you.
Yeah.
People want to be more extreme than they were allowed to be before, and Trump is just absolutely letting all of that through. It's very clear when he's the most disrespectful president clearly we've ever had.
How do you respond to folks like, I think it's Madding in the comments said, this is wrong. He's suggesting that the killer was a supporter for Tim Walz, that this guy was a liberal.
I couldn't see how that's possible.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
But maybe. We'll see. But I know I heard the guy's name, but I haven't heard very much about this guy since it all happened.
Well,
so
his
we'll
roommate...
see. I'm not making any critical judgments, but at the same time, I do not understand how he could possibly be a liberal and then go after the liberal House members.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And he was very much anti-abortion and anti-LGBTQ. That has come out. So I haven't heard anything from him that suggests he leaned right. So we'll see. But Sherbert, I do got to move it on.
We can't forget about the crazy people. It doesn't matter what side of you're on if you're, literally schizophrenic. So I'd love to blame this on MAGA because I think hold
on. In regards to suggesting he might be crazy or schizophrenic, his plan was elaborate. I mean, he actually waited outside their houses. That don't look like somebody who's crazy. He was calculating.
I've never even heard of somebody doing something like this other than like Ted Bundy.
Yeah. My guess is they're going to have to start providing security for a lot of state representatives now. Because this guy was able to get their addresses online They was able to, sit outside of their houses. He knew their time schedules and everything. The only thing that saved one of them is they were on vacation. He went to another person's house to kill him. So he should have had at least 6 people because he would have took the spouse of that person out too.
How much we spend more than any country in the world on our defense budget, but we can't defend our own politicians? That makes sense.
Good point.
Have a good night, Tim.
You too. Appreciate it. They could probably give them some kind of per diem in regards to either a security allowance or, just simply provide them with state troopers or some kind of state officer to protect them. But after seeing something like that happen to state politicians, you can't just assume that you're safe and we'll just leave it at that. You got to assume state politicians all over the country, because every state has a House and Senate, just like the federal government does. I mean, that's thousands of people. You got to assume that many of those folks, particularly the ones that are voting in favor of controversial legislation, are probably rethinking their own home safety. Now, if you live in a red state and all of the things you do lean right, you're like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, for instance, but one that's not as well known nationally, you'll be safe. I mean, you live in a blood red state and you're doing all kinds of far right shit. You'd have half of the town willing to sit outside of your house and provide security. But if you're doing things that are controversial, like let's say you're in Georgia, but you're pro-life or pro-BLM or some of that stuff, or pro-LGBTQ, then you probably need security. Carnet Symbiote, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. That was some pretty good. Thank you very much for your support tonight. Says we need to make age constitutional rights and income the real example to America and make it more effectively better. Also, no president or elected should be elected at the age of 60 or 70. 60? I think 60. When you start getting in your 70s, 60 years old, you still can work. You can still get hired at a regular job. 60 is not even a retirement age. I don't know if I would say 60. Now, what you could do, okay, if you're 60 to 68 for president is not that old. But Congress, okay, if you run for office at 60, and it's just like if you're a pilot, there's a certain age, once you crack that, you got to retire. I think you could do something like that, but I don't think 60 for a president is that old. There are 60-year-olds that can run marathons. 60s, that's kind of young. Maybe it's because my ass is getting old and 60 ain't that far away. I don't know. 60 seems to be young. 70, 80, like Trump is 79 years old now. That's old. I don't care how he talks and how alert he is. At 79 years of age, you could be healthy and just drop dead and they'll call that shit natural causes. I mean, ain't that what happened to Betty White? She just was alive, dead. Natural causes. I mean, 79 is getting up there. You're already beyond the life expectancy of a American white male. So for Trump, yeah, he's old. In fact, he's the oldest president we've ever had right now. He's the oldest president we've ever had. They definitely need to do that for politicians or Congress. Yeah. Like I said, Trump could actually get term limits. I believe out of everybody, he's probably the politician that could get it more so than anybody. Should have worked on Tim's cabinet. Yeah. That don't mean that, listen, you don't have any problem calling everybody from Mike Pence on down rhinos and Democrats in name only or whatever. But the guy works for Tim Walz and, well, he has to be a committed liberal. No. I mean, if you believe it can be wolves in sheep's clothing on the right, then it can be on the left as well. This guy was not a Democrat. I don't see anything that's coming out to suggest he was a Democrat. And by the way, he was not only appointed by Tim Walz, he was appointed also by the governor before him. I don't know if that governor was a Republican, but the Minnesota governor before Tim Walz also appointed that guy as well. And as I brought up earlier in the broadcast, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, that everybody knows, that is on TV with all of these draconian deportation policies, he used to work for Obama. Tom Homan, he used to work for Obama. So do you see Tom Homan as a progressive? So sometimes a person is just good at their job. This guy was the head of a security outfit. So what he was doing, it wasn't really politically oriented. If you're good at policing it, if you're good at security, or let's say you're a good programmer, You know, we need somebody who can program or somebody who can profile for the FBI or something like that. If you're really good at it, we don't care about your politics. This job should not, this is a job where your political affiliation should be irrelevant. So in some cases, you can appoint somebody from the other side if they're good enough at doing what they're doing. You know, like for instance, you know, who flies Air Force One? You think the political affiliations of the military soldiers flying Air Force One matters? I need somebody that can do this. You can do it. You're good at it. I'll hire you. Looking in the comments, some judges have way too much power. There is some truth to that. There used to be a time of compromise. Now it's just billionaires waiting on their cut. I'll tell you my opinion before I go to the next caller. I think there are too many Americans that'll never see $1 billion that are willing to go to the mat defending billionaires. That's what I see the problem being. I was about to bring up Gen X. I hit the mic, but I'll go with Mike. Gen X, good evening, Mike.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I seen Gen X is on deck. Gen X, I need to hear from him, but what, I know you had some choice words from him in regards to his last statement, but what do you think? You think the parade was worth it?
Well, of course not, Tim. I don't think it's worth it. I don't see how you can reconcile, you know, the party that was supposed to be waste,
fraud, and abuse.
Fraud and abuse. We just wasted money as we're cutting veteran benefits. So there's that.
What about, hold on, before you continue, what about the notion? I'm hearing that people like the UFC and some of those folks sponsored some of the parade.
It's still okay. So now we have sponsors for our government. What the fuck are we talking about, Tim? We got sponsors, so now people are wearing UFC on their military uniforms. You got a UFC pin on the Redskins hat. I mean, what are we talking about, man? Listen, Tim. Listen.
I didn't think about it like that, but that is wild.
Well, if they're sponsors, they're getting something out of it because the UFC dropped off one of their energy drinks too, right? And they were passing that shit out. Listen. The right, MAGA supporters, I don't give a fuck how they feel about what I'm about to say. White people focus on, they never focus on themselves. Jeremy sat up here and talked about BLM, and he was trying to point out all these things about, well, this case and the Brown case. And the white folks never focus on white folks. Like, white on white crime is a thing. You never hear about it on TV. But white on white crime is a thing, but you never hear them talk about that. It's just crazy. I thought one was enough. I thought one was too many. That was what they were campaigning on about Riley. But then you sit up here and you don't mention Travis Decker, how he unalived 3 daughters. You don't talk about Dylan Roof and how he went inside a church and unalived 8 or 10 black parishioners at a church. You always focus on black and brown, and everything Jeremy said before he got to his point, he tried to demonize everybody with a criminal record every single time. I sat here and wrote it down. I said every time he brought up something, he brought up Brown and he talked about his criminal record, and he wasn't a good guy. They always talk about the person. Well, ask me this. Was the guy that just unalived the people in Minnesota a good guy? But in the comments, they're talking about whether he was a liberal or a Democrat. It's just crazy as hell. Listen, white America, if you think that the problems, let me ask you this, Tim. When the Constitution was written, it said we the people. Who was it written for?
White males.
Okay, white males. So if the Constitution was written for white males, why did they write all the guardrails, Tim?
What do you mean?
Why were all the guardrails in the Constitution about separation of power? And you know, people say our founders had the foresight to understand, and therefore they wrote certain provisions in the Constitution. Who were they writing them for, Tim? Who were they writing them for? Because they were writing it because they understand their own demons. They were writing the Constitution and the safeguards because they understand their own demons. Every amendment was to give us something. Yeah. But let's be clear. The way that this country is moved is because they understand themselves, but they want to obfuscate everything. Trump sat at that parade hours after two a representative and a senator in Minnesota were unalived, right?
Yeah.
His statement was a 2-line statement, right? You know, we want. A matter of fact, I'm not even gonna listen. This is very important. This is very important. When Trump gave his condolences about we won't stand for violence, we love Minnesota. That was it. You know what he did today?
What?
By the way, he still hasn't reached out to the governor. He still hasn't reached out to Walz, by the way.
Well, he said the governor is incompetent, which I don't know what the hell that's to do with the mourning period.
That's my whole point, Tim.
Yeah.
That's my whole point. How presidential is that? You can't even set aside partisan to call the governor of a state where a tragedy has happened.
Yeah, it looks bad, and I know for a damn sure that if Trump was the person that needed to be called, and somebody said, I'm not going to call Trump because I don't like his politics or he's incompetent, Fox News and the right would be going apeshit. He did the same thing about Joe Biden. You know, I don't feel sorry for Joe Biden having cancer because you don't like the politics. To me, he holds a grudge way past the point of it being legit.
This man is a demon. I told you, Tim, he's unredeemable. I'm not seeing it. When you watch the military parade, I have never seen that many military soldiers out of lockstep in my life. Never.
So you think you think it was deliberate too?
Oh, 100%. And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you what I've done. Since I saw that, I've talked to maybe 30 plus people that are either former or current military members. I asked them the same question on both sides of the aisle. They all said the exact same thing. They said people would lose their stripes behind that. And if there's a person in the comments that serves in the military, and that's all I've heard. They was like, that would never fly in the military. Like the military, being out of lockstep, that's the first thing they teach us.
Yeah, it looked bad.
They said,
it looked real bad.
Told me the first thing they're taught when they get off the bus and they're still in their civvies is how to walk, how to march in formation. Now there's 197 people in here. And I talked to 30 people, so maybe they're wrong. Everybody that told me the exact same thing, black, white, right, left. And so it was a silent, yeah, there you go, D Blue. It was a silent protest, Tim. And that is scary because they had to do it. There was some soldiers sitting in the tanks that looked like they was on the bus. They look like they didn't give a fuck about being there.
From what I'm hearing that Russia used that as propaganda to show how bad our military was with that march.
Oh, you didn't see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Listen. I Tim, left or right, the fact that everyone is on with Trump supporters. They'll make so many excuses, and they're going to undermine our democracy. And like Trump just left G7 because he said he has to attend to what's going on in the Middle East. Well, guess what, Tim? It was going on before he fucking left. You leave the G7. You leave the G7 summit early, but you stayed.
What happened?